As many of you know, I am from the United Kingdom. Therefore, I engage in many British activities such as eating fish and chips, paying extortionate prices for the bus, and watching critically acclaimed science fiction show Numberjacks. Doctor Who is a show about the Doctor, who is a benevolent alien that can change their appearance when the actor's contract runs out, who goes about in his wooden shed saving London from the 39th alien invasion. Genuinely, why does anyone live in London? Finally getting your life together just to have a Dalek shoot off your roof tiles and have to pay $2,000 to get it fixed because the insurance doesn't cover salt shaker related damages. This show's gone on long before I was born and will probably go on long after I'm dead. Never mind. So why not rank every single thing Doctor Who is known for the most? The monsters. The villains. The scary men in rubber masks that traumatize young children. If I miss any, I probably didn't have much to say about them anyway. Just the nobody. Also, this will only cover the revival series and not the classic ones because I haven't watched them. Also, keep in mind this list is based on how much enjoyment I get out of the villain. So expect a lot of funny fellows up high. So anyway, this list has over 150 entries spanning 20 years of TV. Which one is the worst, most pointless creature of them all? Omega. What did they do to you? For those who don't know, Omega was a villain from the classic series. A founder of the Time Lords who was beloved by his people because he invented time travel, but in the process was slurped up by a black hole. All the Time Lords thought he died, but he didn't. He stayed trapped for thousands of years in an antimatter dimension, losing his identity, went insane, and only exists because of his strong will. This is a gross simplification, but believe me, none of this even matters. The Rani, another Time Lord, has this whole stupidly convoluted plan to use a wish god baby to make a right-wing TikTok influencer parody character wish for the world to be not woke and based on Sigma, which just causes the Earth to detonate, which somehow allows the Rani to yoink Omega out of the pits of hell and shove him in this Pringles tube so she can use his genetic information to birth new Time Lords because they all got sterilized, apparently. Isn't he like made of antimatter? How is that going to work? So he crawls out, and instead of being this imposing man in a funny hat or a copper thing, he's a giant skinless corpse with no eyes. This is kind of a cool design, but why was he Omega? They say he's become his own legend about being the original sin or something, but I thought the legend was that he was a hero revered by the Time Lords, not a demented skeleton homunculus. Iconic Doctor Who villain Omega is returning. Please talk about this on Twitter and on various news outlets. He then eats the Rani, threatens to eat the world, and then the Doctor shoots him with a clock hand, and he leaves in this second part of a finale that has an extended runtime. The main built-up villain has less than 2 minutes on screen. A villain who hasn't appeared on the show for over 50 years is mangled beyond all recognition, eats one of the only good parts of the episode, and buggers off halfway through the episode. A character who is referred to as the biggest, baddest Time Lord. No wonder why they nearly went extinct twice if this is the cream of the crop. Another season in a row where the main villain is a one-off goon from 50 years ago in an era described as a jumping on point for new viewers, who has been turned into a big CGI thing and then is beaten in a comical way. But at least my man Sutek retained the Egyptian god theme from his old design and actually did something. How'd you get from this final boss Time Lord design to something that looks like it came out of an Undertale fan game in 2016? Omega should not even qualify for this list because his presence in the episode takes up like 4% of the total length of it. But don't worry guys, after he's hit with the Gaster Blaster, we get a long 30-minute long yap session about beloved Doctor Who character, this baby. Captain Poppy from celebrated Doctor Who episode Space Babies, cause fuck Omega. No one gives a shit about the creator of the Time Lords. We get another one of those every other year anyway.
Although actually, she's not Captain Poppy, she's just a memory duplicate. Or
these new seasons have so much exposition in them, but they never explain anything. I'm sorry, I do like the show. Poppy ceases to exist because she was false. She was not real.
But she's not real. She's made of hopes and dreams.
So to save this false memory gaslight baby, the Doctor shoots golden power into the TARDIS, which just brings the baby back somehow, and then it kills him.
Here you go, Belinda. You get to be a single mother working
Night shifts at the NHS now. Good fucking luck. I need to regenerate into my ex-girlfriend now.
I'm a champ.
Also, the 13th Doctor just shows up for literally no reason. But honestly, this scene is one of the better parts of the episode, so I'll allow it. Belinda got done so dirty in this episode, brainwashed by a political caricature into becoming a housewife, shoved in a metal cube for the entire episode to focus on the other previous companion. Then the Doctor commits suicide, so her life hits the view that the villain of the episode forced upon her. Literally last episode, she was screaming in the woods about the whole situation, and now she can become a single mother during a cost of living crisis. Sorry, this Omega review just turned into me bitching about the episode. I'll stop now. In summary, Omega was a massive waste of a beloved classic villain. Did not act like or resemble his old self in any way. Had like 3 lines of dialogue. Devoured the villain that was actually kind of interesting. Got shot and left, making him the worst villain in the modern series. Also, they made the sonic screwdriver this horrible Venn diagram baby's teething ring looking thing because apparently it looked like a gun before. So naturally, they make the Doctor unload 40 magazines into Omega's mouth. Is there a gas leak in the writing room? A rotting skeleton of something that used to be great cannibalizing a decades-old character is actually a clever and subversive reference to this bloody episode. How can you call yourself the god of time when you can barely get 3 minutes of it? Get back in your tube and think about what you've done, you decomposing letdown. The only funny thing about this guy is that he looks like Winnie the Pooh stuck in the tree after eating too much honey. I'm pretty sure this segment is significantly longer than the amount of time Omega was actually in this episode for. Genuine travesty. The Grand Serpent. Speaking of wasted potential, what the hell did the Grand Serpent even do? Throughout the Flux, the Grand Serpent is this crime boss man that has his whole unit infiltration subplot, blows up Kate's house, teams up with the Sontarans for 2 seconds and then gets put on an asteroid. Why was he here? The Flux was filmed during the pandemic, so cuts obviously had to be made, squeezing this entire series into 6 episodes, which sucks, but you know, you could have trimmed a bit of the fat off. Would the story of the Flux even change if this guy wasn't in it? Yeah, it would, because they'd have more time to make it good. Most of this season feels like a YouTube short with about 10 different things playing at once. The Flux is eating the universe, and the Ravagers are ravaging, but uh-oh, there's a mysterious woman, and uh-oh, there's a pregnant woman, and the father is trying to find her, and uh-oh, Hacker T Dog is here, and uh-oh, Dan's love interest got kidnapped, and uh-oh, it's the Sontarans, and the Daleks, the Cybermen, and the Weeping Angels, and Tunnel Man, and of course, the Grand Serpent, who doesn't really do much except devour screen time. Should have had his own story, only exists to show how incompetent UNIT is by yet again being infiltrated by a nefarious entity. But at least you want a mangled, shuffling corpse, so thank the reality war for making you not the worst one anymore. Sorry for being so negative, but like, damn. Look, this is the bottom of the list, alright? I'll stop being so miserable eventually. Might take a solid half an hour though. In fact, I'll admit he's quite cool. He's this tyrant who has has 2 hearts like the Doctor and can fire snakes at people. It's just they keep having these characters and concepts that they just waste. That is the biggest sin. Even the worst, most goofy and terrible of villains can get a rise out of me at some points, but this is just a bit sad. Tecteun. Hey look, another Fluxer. Tecteun is another Time Lord founder villain.
Oh dear.
Apparently one of these guys is Omega. Not the best repertoire.
Tecteun created the Flux because she doesn't like all the meddling the Doctor did to the universe, so was like,
Just kill it.
by the way, the Doctor is her adopted child that she experimented on to steal regeneration energy for the rest of the Time Lords. I wonder what conflicts they'll have with such a personal dynamic of mother and daughter. Yeah, she just gets turned into glitter and dies. Utterly incredible. She's kind of like Omega, where she's built up as this powerful Time Lord founding figure, just to show up for 4 seconds and die. I like this ood that she had. Praxeus. Praxeus is a disease that turns people into nether quartz. I genuinely recall absolutely nothing from this episode. It makes birds go crazy and is an allegory for microplastics, I think. That is all I have to say about Praxeus. Yeah, sorry, the Grand Serpent. Don't quite reach the heights of a fatal disease. Don't worry, pal. You might be being horrifically mutilated, but at least you'll make a good redstone comparator. Nick. This guy is technically not a villain, but nah, this man is a danger to society. Stalks a woman at her job every year for 3 years because he likes her. Keeps the belongings of his ex-girlfriend in a storage bin. They even accuse him of being a serial killer in the episode. The Daleks doing us all a favour by keeping this man off the streets. He ends up in a relationship with this girl that he thinks likes him because she's giving him basic customer service. He literally says he comes here every year because he knows she'll be here, and I don't see any other co-workers here. Is that why you picked this particular date, Nick? Wanted some alone time, did you? Most nefarious villain in an episode with the Daleks in it. The Dregs. Orphan 55 was...
If anyone can, will they please shoot me?
An episode. This woman who's just for the entire episode goes, "Where's Benny? Where's Benny? Where is Benny? Where is he?" For the entire runtime left a bigger impact on me than the Dregs. So the Dregs are like humanity in the future, even though humanity in the future has been established to be not horrifically mutated freaks on multiple occasions. So I guess they just got better. They really like using this one close-up shot of the Dregs. Then the Doctor touches it and experiences all of human history, and then they blow up the Dregs. Then we get a public service announcement about how humanity is destroying the environment, and we all need to do something about it. Yeah, I know. What do you want me to do about it? What am I gonna do against John Oil Baron? Jack Robertson. And thus begins a frequently occurring type of villain in this series, being a political character you'd find in the middle of a poorly selling newspaper. Jack Robertson is a sleazy businessman who is running for American presidency. Hello, Doctor. Welcome to a records in the UK.
Are you Ed Sheeran?
He illegally dumps nuclear waste and it mutates spiders into being really big and scary, and they eat people. They plan to lock the spiders in a safe room where they will slowly suffocate to death and cannibalize each other. Jack then shoots one of them. No, Jack. You fucking dunce. Why'd you give that spider an instantaneous death? We were gonna lock it in a room and make it slowly die in agony. The moral dilemmas in this season are really quite silly. His political career then gets destroyed, which wouldn't happen at all in real life. These days a politician could throw bricks at a kitten and probably end up with more supporters. Really ruined my immersion in the episode. And he's back. This time he tries to, and I quote, back the Daleks, which they accept. Genuinely, if he just walked down on that bridge and the Daleks just instantly shot him, then he'd be put 40 tiers up on this list. But no, They take him on their ship, and he rats out the Doctor like a little snitch, then is rescued with zero repercussions and takes all the credit. Now that's more like the miserable reality I know. The Shekri. Apparently the actor was being really difficult, so this character just ended up being a massive oaf. Just sits there in his chair yammering on about the telly. More partial to bar charts myself. His plan is to throw cubes at Earth, wait a year, and then set them all off and give everyone a heart attack. 1/3 of the human race in this episode has a heart attack that lasts multiple minutes. The Doctor literally waves his sonic screwdriver at the screen, and the day is saved and not one person dies. Stupid villain with a stupid defeat. Get your cubes and Mario 64 ass walls out of here. I thought Rory was about to enter shifting Sandland. Conrad. Conrad is a more recent villain, but another one of those political cartoon caricatures. This time, he's a right-wing TikTok influencer that just spreads misinformation for money and clout because he loses a job interview at UNIT. There are genuine criticisms to make about UNIT instead of aliens aren't actually real guys. How stupidly dim must you have to be to even consider for a second that aliens are not real in this universe?
Actually, humanity is really fucking stupid, so they probably would buy this.
How about mention every time UNIT fights an alien, they get their teeth kicked in, gets bamboozled and infiltrated by the Sontarans, almost resorts to nuking the entirety of London when they fumble the Zygons, fail to deal with the cubes that stop people's hearts, gets infiltrated by the Grand Serpent, gets fucked over by the Master and his Cyberman army, has its troops brainwashed by a horrible rodent. The Toymaker does a song and dance number and turns them into balls. The god of fucking death itself infiltrates their ranks and materializes in their headquarters and kills all life in the universe. And even in this episode, they get infiltrated again. Maybe bring up the fact that they're useless, and if the Doctor wasn't around, the Earth would look like a rotting apple core by now. Or maybe bring up the use of child labor. A 15 and 13-year-old are deemed essential personnel against a vengeful death god. At least Morris shoots the thing. Rose just starts playing on the iPad, catching up on one last Family Guy funny moment compilation before being turned into sand. I know she was manning the lasers, I think, but it's just such a funny visual.
I'm barely a year old.
That's it. Get on the UNIT payroll. I assure you, your taxpayer money is going to good use, Kate says as she installs a nautical steering wheel. But anyway, he has a backstory where he has an abusive mother, no father, and sees the Doctor in 2007, which is why he gets into the alien podcast business. Then he encounters Ruby with the Doctor and invites her to join his podcast. That just randomly decides,
Actually, I'm a conspiracy theorist who doesn't believe aliens are real now.
like, this shit just comes out of nowhere. Conrad ends up doxing everyone at UNIT, then Kate releases the hounds on him on live television, and the day is saved.
These two special effects are improving.
Conrad is in prison, the Doctor has a go at him, and then,
And it's your lucky day.
for fuck's sake, why is he back? Why is he here? Of all the things in this era to return in the finale, you picked anti-woke YouTuber and Poppy from Space Babies. He's so out of place. You got this evil bone palace with these giant skeletal dinosaurs everywhere, two versions of a Time Lord scientist who want to resurrect their species, an infant god, the rotting corpse of the Time Lord founder, and then you have this Twitter blue verified man. Then there's this goofy wish world where questioning anything is punishable by imprisonment. Women are forced to be housewives, gay people are banned, disabled people are outcasted into tents, trans people are just removed, and cups no clip.
And they put the Vlinks in a crate.
His ideal world is so unfeasible that it just fucking collapses after a day, which is really funny. Ruby steals the hydrogen baby and wishes that Conrad was happy. And then he vanishes and has no memory of being such a goofball. He faces 0 repercussions and gets the best possible ending for brainwashing all of the Earth, spreading dangerous misinformation about a government agency, and killing someone.
Conrad's world. Yours is nice. It's actually nice.
Nice? What? You got kicked out your house, spent all your time at a homeless camp, people got imprisoned for doubting anything, and your friend got removed? What do you mean? Just realized that she was being held at gunpoint, so you know, maybe saying, "I hate you and your wish world is bad" would not be the wisest idea, but this is still funny. After being sentenced to wash dishes, the doctor kills himself so that Belinda gets to be a mother to this false baby that was created by his wish, which is exactly what he wanted, so he basically got proven right.
Shows about as woke as a narcoleptic coma patient.
Charlie Duffy, also known as the guy from the episode where the doctor gasses up Amazon. The systems aren't the problem. The man doesn't let people piss. Also, I hate the Kablam men. Fuck you. Yourself. Horrible Postman Pat movie looking things. There's a character in that movie voiced by David Tennant who repeatedly tries to kill Postman Pat during the movie, and I find that really funny. Anyway, industry plant. Buy Kablam man merchandise. Remember the fence from Dr. 11? Only like 10% of the population gets the opportunity to work. But don't worry guys, the workers get 2 weeks paid leave after a terrorist plot is discovered in the building that resulted in the deaths of multiple people. Also, Charlie has a crush on this girl who gets captured by the Kablam men and gets killed to send a message to him that releasing all the pipe bombs will make people feel sad. But like, you just killed an innocent person to prove a point. And the doctor's like, yeah, never liked workers' unions. Unplug those fucks immediately. Kablam men, you know what? You get on the list as well. Don't like you. You're as monstrous as that other guy. You don't fool me with your corporate smile and them blue eyes. Only ranked a bit higher because you look funny. Lindy Pepperbean. The fact this character is this low is a good thing. They wanted to make the most hateable person imaginable, and they really succeeded. Lindy is a Nepo child that is completely incapable of doing anything and just blindly follows the orders of this little orb thing. At first I thought this was gonna be one of those "them young'uns on their phone," but you begin to notice things. Like how she instantly blocks the doctor, but lets Ruby speak. Or the fact she lives in a white ethno-state. Big slugs then start killing people and the goat Ricky September helps take her to safety. How does she repay him? By killing him? I want this girl dead. The doctor then offers to take her and the other survivors away, but they're like, "Nah mate, don't like people who are wearing kilts," and they set sail on a boat into the wilderness. Could not walk in a straight line without the orb. She will be dead in 8 minutes. Thank God. The moon. Clara! The moon's an egg, Clara! You need to abort the moon, Clara! Are you pro-life or pro-choice? Hurry, Clara! It's gonna hatch! Good luck, Clara! I'm leaving. Bye. Luckily, the moon hatches and instantly makes another egg. It's the exact same size as the moon. That's pretty convenient. No apocalyptic tidal waves today. I think this is supposed to be a metaphor for pro-life. Maybe. So many topical political things down here because most of them are done quite poorly. The moon itself isn't really a villain. It just hatches and leaves. Cresco. Graham, you've got to be racist. It's the only way to restore history. No, Doc. Don't make me shit on the bus. Cresco is a fugitive from the future whose plan is to stop the 1960s civil rights movement by stopping Rosa Parks from getting on the bus. That is certainly one of the concepts of a villain of all time. However, he has a microchip in his brain that prevents him from killing people, so he has to do these Wile E. Coyote schemes to stop her from getting on the bus, such as gaslighting the bus driver into taking a day off, blocking the bus from picking up Rosa Parks with a car, and putting up signs on bus stops saying that the bus is cancelled so people don't even get on. He is then foiled and sent back in time millions of years. So does that mean he's not dead? Imagine they bring him back in like 30 years as a member of the fucking Pantheon. I gazed into the Instagram Reels comment sections and evolved into my true godhood. Basically, he's just another one of these half-baked political allegory villains. Don't get me wrong, you can make a good political allegory villain, but this dick dastardly ass gated community brain chip Saturday morning cartoon tosser ain't it. The Eaters of Light. The Eaters of Light are known for eating the light. This is a monster where it's like, I don't know what to say. I barely remember this episode. They invade Scotland and then a bunch of kids get shoved in a portal until the end of time, so they can't eat the light anymore. Wow. Horrible child from Night Terrors. This parasite is a member of a species that disguises itself as a human child and brainwashes parents into thinking it was always their kid by targeting women that have just miscarried. That is horrible! Not only that, but this mockingbird-ass infant has reality-warping powers that makes life a living hell, like making people get eaten by bin bags or sending them into the doll dimension. Really, of all the households to insert yourself in, you choose an impoverished family living in a rundown flat in Bristol, saw the mold and rot on the outside of the building and thought, oh yeah, that's the place. I hope there's a couple who's recently had a failed pregnancy in there. Evil regs. How the hell did these things know about the Doctor being the timeless child? Of every single weird creature that the Doctor has encountered, some bloody cloth was one of the only ones to figure it out. Apparently, they wiped out all life on the planet. Imagine the reason your species goes extinct is because of a flying rag. Luckily though, they get done in by a cigarette. Ooh, nah mate, smoking's good for you. Won't be so smug when the tea towels attack. Men-ish. Time to spin the wheel of social politics once again. What we landed on this time? Religious nationalism. This guy kills Yaz's nan's fiancé because he wanted to marry a Muslim woman. But they beat you out. Guys, it's not actually the big scary alien who says cryptic, mildly threatening yet easily misinterpretable things and their jar of purple sludge. The real demon of the Punjab was the ignorance of man. Ish. It's cool that they're going over parts of history that isn't widely known to the British public. I'd never heard of the partition of India before I watched this, which is really bad considering it's a direct result of my own country's occupation. Look, the only thing I remember from school is the quadratic formula and the ending of mice and men, but Manish is, as his name suggests, a man, not gonna be ranked all that high up on the marketable aliens tier list. Kid. Guess what time it is again? Bring me the fucking wheel! Genocide survivors committing acts of terrorism.
But look guys, it's Thuggadoo! Yeah!
So this guy is an alien who has evil devil horns, so is discriminated against and has their whole planet incinerated to grow poppies by the corporation. It's funny how they chose poppies considering the subject of the next two episodes. I should have put Poppy on this list. I bet it was her. Anyway, kid sucks like 100,000 people into space. Almost transmits a brain-killing death wave to trillions of people because the song contest is funded by the corporation. but then is stopped by the doctor, who randomly starts torturing him with a taser. I extremely dislike how he gets violent and aggressive at this guy for attempting to kill trillions of people. But when he had Sutek the Destroyer, who at that point had killed everyone to ever exist, he gets really sad about having to fling him at the time vortex. Well, Sutek, he was just doing his job. Nothing personal. Killing people's a 9 to 5 for him. People got really upset at this episode since the scene can be read as the Doctor torturing a genocide survivor by electrocution, which is...
Could have been a lot better. It could have
Why
been
would you
slightly
add that
better
in?
written.
He had my man Duggadoo out in the vastness of space. Duggadoo almost died. Forget the taser, I'd have given him the chair. That's my headcanon, why the Doctor got so upset, because the world was about to lose its brightest light. But don't worry guys, they sing a sad song and it's all better now. The company receives 0 repercussions for decimating a population for fucking honey. What in the virtue signaling was that? Obviously, you can tell stories with dark topics like genocide, just probably not in an episode where a singing orange thing goes dugga-doo, dugga-doo, dugga-dugga, dugga-doo. Speaking of which, if Kid didn't do this cartoonishly evil plan, we'd have never gotten this really amusing scene of Belinda having a mental breakdown whilst Duggadoo plays in the background. Genuinely one of the funniest scenes in the entire show. This character is saved from the bottom 10 by Duggadoo. It's also really funny how this guy gets overshadowed not only by this orange spore creature looking thing, but by 2 Ranis. Oh, and the Doctor's granddaughter, who hasn't been on screen for like 40 years, who was there for some reason. Why was she here? This goes literally nowhere. They're just jangling keys in front of me at this point. They did this with the fugitive Doctor as well. You can't just flashbang me with things that could be interesting and then do nothing with it. Zimshar.
My wife's dead, Doc, and it's that blue bugger's fault. I'm gonna fucking kill him, Doc. I'm gonna watch the life drain from his eyes as I pop a cap in his forehead. No, Graham, you can't kill people. Shut the fuck up, Doc. Come on, Ryan. Let's take a life.
Tim is the first major antagonist of an entire season to be on this list. I'm not counting Omega since he was the major antagonist of a 3-minute interval. I remember more about this drunk homeless man who throws salad at him than I do about Zim Shah.
Eat my salad. Halloween.
He goes around on planets with his big wire ball and stills people and puts them in the piss chamber for an eternity. He is then pushed off a crane and teleports away, where he's not seen until the last episode, the Battle of Ransko and Kolo.
What's your favourite Doctor Who episode? Mine has to be the Battle of Rancid Ass Colon.
Good thing no one would ever consider this episode to be their favourite. It is revealed he just so happens to teleport next to 2 godlike entities who can shape the matter of reality itself, who just so happen to be devoted to a religion where this blue tooth man happens to exactly resemble their god and blindly follow his every order without question. My man gambled it all and got the national lottery jackpot. Could not have asked for a better place to randomly teleport to in the entire universe. He then uses these god people to shrink planets, but then the Doc convinces these 2 that their religion is wrong. God is gone, and I've killed the devil. And then they undo everything and the day is saved. Then Graham and Ryan don't kill the Tooth Man because killing is bad. Do you know what's not bad though? Eternity in the piss rock. So the next time when someone wrongs you, instead of killing them in cold blood, remove their ability to move. Also, Tim is just a really lame villain compared to the other ones on this list. He just sort of sits in this room for most of the episode. Was more of a menace in the first episode where he has access to the blue onion from Pikmin. All fun and games until he brings out the ultra bitter spray. Alan Generator.
You know what time it is.
Incel culture.
Planet of the incels.
I like how they're like,
You thought it said AI generator, but it's actually Al generator.
even though this episode is absolutely sod all to do with AI-generated content. He's actually Belinda's ex-boyfriend, who was a misogynist little weirdo, real control freak, Glad she got out of that relationship, just immediately have her life rewritten as a result of a mass brainwashing plot against her will. He gets abducted by these Miss Belinda Chandra bots who go around shooting cats.
The cat is irrelevant.
And then gets put in the contraption where he causes a global conflict because he thinks it's like a video game. So the main antagonist of the first episode of season 15 is your average League of Legends player. Then the Doctor does some time shenanigans and he gets reverted back into a sperm cell and sucked up by the goat, the Polish robot. Alan is not a character and is basically just toxic masculinity given a mouth. Like, if an actual incel watched this, do you think he'd see the error of his ways and attempt to better himself? Or do you think he'd make a 10-minute long YouTube video going on about how Doctor Who has been ruined by woke? This show ain't woke enough, is barely fucking awake, is nodding off. Snot monster.
Alright, Russell, how are we gonna get our new Disney Plus viewers on board with the show?
Talking CGI baby.
What?
Then there will be the snot monster. The snot monster is also one of the babies. This will be a metaphor for abortion. Yeah, don't really know what to say about the snot monster from Space Babies. Other than the choice to make the first episode of the first season of this new reboot of a show about an alien time traveler fighting monsters about talking babies being haunted by an apparition made out of their own snot was certainly one of the choices you could have made. Imagine trying to get your mates to get into the show and this is the first episode that plays. Especially since we just had an episode about babies. So in these two series we have baby-eating goblins, space babies. The companion was left by a church as a baby. Then there's the god of wishes, who's a baby that a Time Lord wants to harness so she could make babies. And the companion then has a baby? What is it with all these babies? Is this some conspiracy scheme trying to make people reproduce? Because Doctor Who fans ain't gonna be the ones doing any of that. Also, I wanted to punt Eric over a fence. Sandman. Found footage analog horror. The Sandman is a man made of sand. Man, I don't remember anything from this episode. Ironically, I might have fallen asleep. They actually won at the end of the episode, so that's something. Them being made of the slop you get around your eyes makes me uncomfortable. I wonder what bodily secretion they'll make the next Doctor Who monster out of. Eddie Connolly, abusive father, bottom of the list. Thanks for the life advice of trying to get this boy to make amends with him, because when an abusive figure finally leaves your life, the best thing you should do is immediately crawl back to them. Only reason he's up this high is because I like the scene where the Doctor yelled at him. That was funny.
I'm not listening!
And a single moment of mild enjoyment instantly puts it above all these jobbers. Roger at William. Genuinely, what the hell was this episode? It starts off well with Ruby stepping on this evil string contraption and being haunted by a mysterious spectre that always stays 73 yards away from her. And anyone else that goes near the spectre becomes afraid of Ruby and ditches her. I like how in every alternate reality, Ruby's mum just immediately disowns her. No wonder why she was so obsessed with finding her biological mother. But then the episode devolves into Ruby having to overthrow the Prime Minister? Who's, say it with me, another political caricature villain who wants to nuke the fucking Earth for no reason. So she uses the evil curse on him to make him resign. Why did the episode go from Ruby being haunted by an apparition to having to depose a Welshman? Because we needed to set up the DNA checker thing for the epic reveal of Ruby's mother. Goblins. First episode with the new Doctor. How do we introduce the show to singing child-devouring goblins? Camp does not even begin to describe this episode. Little goblins going around mildly inconveniencing Ruby because her existence is rife with a coincidence. They then try steal her newly adopted sister and sing a song about feeding a baby to this grotesque goblin king. Look, I know the show's always been kinda goofy. I know one of you's gonna bring up that fuck-ass bin from the first episode, but this is like if all the bins in the neighborhood got together and did a 3-act stage play. Also, I like how the Doctor just nonchalantly impales the Goblin King with a church. That's kind of funny. Tell you what, the Goblin King would have been really useful in the latest episode. God of Wishes, more like get out the dishes. Throw the false wish child in there too and you got yourself a banquet. Skivra Queen. I like how they got the actor of Rani from Sarah Jane Adventures to come back just to play a big scorpion who's accompanied by a violin rendition of a tornado siren whenever she appears. So the Skivra are a bunch of frauds, just going around yoinking people's technology. They kind of look like the Reknos, which fits with the whole fraud theme they got going. They want Nikola Tesla to repair their ship, but he doesn't know how, so the Doctor gives the Skivra Queen a spring and she fucks off. General Cobb. Why does his name sound like a fucking Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 backyard NPC? This prick wanted to genocide these funny looking fish guys. What's wrong with you? It looks so funny. Oh, there goes one drowning in the slop of a Welsh quarry. This scene is genuinely so sad. He didn't deserve that. Genuinely traumatized me as a child. Anyway, it's revealed that the whole war is a sham. They were supposed to terraform this planet but started a race war instead. Understandable miscommunication error. Cobb is upset to learn that he can't genocide an entire race and tries to shoot the Doctor out of anger. But his daughter, who was cloned from him during the episode, takes the bullet and dies. And the Doctor gets mildly annoyed at him, but is like, I never would. Whatever you say, buddy. And then he gets locked away. Also, his daughter then regenerates and is never seen again. Leandro the Leonian from Delta Leonis. So the Lion Man tricks this girl who's immortal into opening a portal by telling her he's the last of his kind. No more lions. Really should not have tried to take on all those Pokemon. Just kidding. He actually isn't and plans to invade the Earth. But then the portal gets closed and his race gets angry at him and just kill him. Poor guy was just trying to do his job. Adam Mitchell. Adam isn't really a villain, but he was kind of a prick, so that's good enough to be here. Trying to be clever by nicking all that information from the future. Can't be messing with the progression of humanity, you silly man. But the real reason I put him on here is because there's a comic where he coerces with the Master and kidnaps all the companions. And then he sees the error of his ways and sacrifices himself to save the Doctor. Absolute cinema. Time zombies. I like how in the Let's Finally Explore the TARDIS episode, they just have a subplot where a guy gets gaslit into thinking he's an android so they can extort him for labor. But these zombies are kind of horrifying. Having a future charred and burnt corpse of yourself exposed to the incomprehensible eye of the TARDIS hunt you down through a sentient endless time machine is something I personally would not like to experience. I like how the plot happens because the TARDIS just hates Clara. They would be higher, but at the end of the day, they just sort of shuffle around the whole episode doing nothing. The Gangers. This episode was a bit with the two Doctors. Was cool, I guess. But I don't know, just don't feel too much about the Gangers. Sludge people made out of the stuff they put in Greg's chicken bakes. Chicken. Cantrofari. Why do these random ass dream crabs use the same song as Sutek the Destroyer? Are these supposed to be like Sutek's fleas? Give this man a bath immediately. Bet you haven't had one in thousands of years. Just sit there on your box all day speculating about Doctor Who characters. Lazy butts. Anyway, the dream crabs are alright. I like how they make Clara old. They also materialize Santa Claus into existence. Festive fellows I see. Wish I was as jolly as the Canto Ferrari. Yeah, sorry Tecteun, sorry Omega, sorry Tim. Just don't quite reach the heights of A tiger. I'm only putting this on the list because the TARDIS wiki lists the enemy of this episode to be a tiger. And that's really funny. The tiger walks up to the gate and Denny shines a torch at it and it leaves.
Power of 1 billion supernovas.
Probably still had more screen time than Omega. Bring back the A-Tiger in season 16. Cholders. The Cholders are known for cholding about the place, cosplaying as people because they think it's funny.
We're gonna cosplay this planet to death!
This must be what concerned Christian parents think happens in a furry convention. However, some bounty hunter called Rogue shows up and the Doctor falls in love with him instantly. Anyway, the birds then get sent to the Triangle Dimension as well as Rogue. A sad end to the "oh my god guys, it's that woman again! We gotta figure out the legend of Ruby Sunday! Fuck you, Rogue! Have fun in your bird realm." People saying Doctor Who's gone woke when they send one of the only gay characters to hell! That green screen looks so comically bad compared to how beautiful the rest of the episode is. It's so funny. The Eternals. The nefarious fingerman that shoves fingers in people and makes them have bad dreams to feed the finger woman who got locked up. Are these guys part of the Pantheon of Discord because they name dropped the toy maker? They let a baby in? Why not these two as well? Tesco home brand Nightmare Man. So the Nightmare couple tells this story about how they caused an interplanetary war because they were bored and then they lock the Doctor up. How the fuck did she do that? They then get trapped in their own nightmares that they caused and the day saved, hooray! Then Graham expresses his fear of his cancer coming back and the Doctor is like, well this is awkward. I'm such a Scorpio. Big spiders. Spiders are scary. Lord Suitcliffe. The Doctor should just punch people in the face more. I feel like a lot of these political caricature villains would have been better received if the Doctor just spun their jaws a bit. Especially this guy, who's a comically evil 19th century businessman who feeds children to the beast of the Thames so he can sell its feces as fuel by having this ice fair thing. But then he drowns. Womp womp. The Crooked Man. That man sure is crooked. I like how the whole twist of the episode is that he's not evil and he just misses his wife. Nice to see the Crooked Man get a happy ending. Godspeed to you. So we got the Doctor, the Master, the Rani, and the Get. Get is a member of the Division. One of the most underutilized things in the entire show. She shows up with her rhinos trying to yoink the fugitive Doctor and then she gets parried and dies. Bit of a waste, but I do like them just having random ass Time Lords show up without making a big deal out of it. At least you're ranked higher than your employer. Me, or a Shilder, she dies. Came back to life via some alien tech tomfoolery. But now she's immortal and has to watch her loved ones all die. That's a bit of a downer. I like how she has this whole library of her memories because the human mind can only comprehend so many of them. No wonder why she was willing to work with that evil lion man. I'd go insane if I had to live hundreds of years on this bloody island. She comes back yet again as the mayor of a community of alien refugees. She keeps the peace by releasing the bird on any crooks. Rob an old woman? The bird. Steal a loaf of bread? The bird. Falsely accused of murder? You're getting the bird. You set the bird on Clara, you stupid twat. I'm gonna firebomb your road. And it's revealed that she was setting him up to get yoinked by the Time Lords. But to be fair, it was called the Trap Street. So what did you really expect? Then he sees her again at the end of time, where she's just chilling and she goes off with Clara. Luke Rattigan, this Sheldon Cooper Redditor Birdley kid. Another one of these human characters that work with a nefarious alien race and gets betrayed by them. Stupid. boy. At least he redeems himself by hitting the Suntarans with the Bazinga bomb. The Pating, just a foul, ravenous beast, runs around eating up anything it can shove in its wretched maw, unable to be contained, but unable to consume organic matter. Simply trap it in a flesh prison. Also, this episode had Mpreg in it. The two things a Doctor Who episode needs to shine: a marketable creature and pregnant men. They then eject the gluttonous creature into space. But anyway, the Bating is a funny little thing, so it gets put here. The Kasavin. The Kasavin are these white light people that show up and try to rule the world. They're just goons of the Master though, but the Doctor rats him out on being a big traitor, and they drag him into the carpet dimension. They don't really do much other than stand menacingly and stare like a colour-inverted Enderman. Vor.
Right now, Vor is more powerful than most nations.
What an unfortunate name. Vor works with the Kasavin and the Master to try upload humanity into a big PC tower. It's ran by this rich bloke who kills his mum because he was bored. After the Master gets sucked under the rug, he leaves and is never seen again. I'd leave if I was at the mercy of the soft shoe shuffle. The Siren. The Siren abducts people that are injured and heals them. Not really even a villain, but she's portrayed as an antagonistic force the whole episode, so whatever. Basically, she's an AI thingy, got bored after her entire crew died, so harasses these pirates. After Rory seemingly dies for the 1000th time, the Siren yoinks him and makes him all better, and then the pirates all go with the Siren. Wow. The Tesselector.
What is this image?
Robot thing piloted by small people who go around yoinking up war criminals at the end of their lives, painfully torturing them. So not really a villain at all. Only issue is that they're stupid. They tried to do this stunt to Hitler, but almost end up doing it a bit too early, which would have destroyed the timeline. What dolts. I was going to put Hitler on this list at the bottom, but I don't know if YouTube would like it if I started off a Doctor Who video by talking about Adolf Hitler. So well done, Omega, for being a more enjoyable character than Hitler. Barber. So the barber is a big fraud. You ain't a god of anything. Look, you gotta have some bombasticness to become a god. Gotta have style and pizzazz and a weakness to leads. Not stand around in a barber shop for 40 minutes venting about how these other gods didn't credit you on their resume or whatever. These gods are a separate thing from the pantheon of Discord, mind you.
Pantheon of TeamSpeak.
You could have given him his own barbinger. Anyway, the barber turned all the stories into a web and then had this big spider thing that was powered by the chair that steals stories. Like the Doctor's story about what is the Rani doing here?
Hi, Belinda. Just picking up my pills.
What, you telling me that the fucking Time Lords need to go pick up prescription medication? But anyway, the barber guy tries to kill all the gods by cutting the web, and then the Doctor blows up the big spider by making it try and comprehend the Doctor Who continuity, and the barber, he redeems himself. Good on you, lad. I swear they did this bit with showing all the previous Doctors like 3 times this season. Stop taunting me with visions of the past. Speaking of visions of the past, here's the fugitive Doctor for like 2 seconds.
So
what was the point of doing that? I like the fugitive Doctor, but this is the equivalent of spraying someone with water to stop them nodding off, because I was listening to this fraud waffle on about meta-conceptual nonsense for the past 20 minutes. Colony Sarf Devros just deciding,
Yes, I will send the snake man after the doctor.
could've just sent a letter or an email rather than the bloody Vermilion Warriors from Lego Ninjago. Does this make Devros one of the Time Twins? Anyway, this guy serves his purpose as a pile of snakes pretty well, and I like how Devros turns him into wires so he can yoink the Doctor's juicy regeneration energy, even if that was just a double bluff by the Doctor and he got consumed by shit. Morax Queen.
Your body filled with my Morax King.
I don't like that description. The Lorax are these creatures of the bog. Looks like something you'd find under Western Pier. They possess people, get stabbed by a flaming pole, and get sucked back into the filth from which they emerged, back into the pits of Western Beach for you. Cybermasters.
Oh my god, it's the Master. I killed the Time Lords.
You what?
I turned them into Cybermen. But we just got...
Also, you're adopted. Cyber-converted Time Lords that can regenerate are a really cool concept.
Sadly, they don't really do much.
They just sort of stand around twiddling their thumbs whilst the Master reads out his 20-minute long Google presentation on why the Doctor's parents didn't love her. Then the Doctor sacrifices herself to blow up the Cybermasters, and by herself I mean she just lets this conveniently placed old man do it and runs off. Not only is it revealed that this did not kill any of the Cybermasters, it is revealed that the only thing this did was kill almost every other Time Lord and sterilize the ones that survived. Last time they killed the Time Lords, it was to end a war between the two most powerful races that was destroying the entire universe. This time it accomplished absolutely fucking nothing, and this old man died to kill any remaining innocent Time Lords and remove their ability to breed. Gallifrey fools no more. Fat fucking lie that was. They then do a bit in Power of the Doctor where they rob a train and abduct this orb child thing, the Quunk. They then watch the Master get jiggy with it and have all their regeneration energy drained and they're gone. Decent concept, horrific story addition, but they have a funny hat and it's not really their fault. It's the Master and the stupid old man. Sea Devils.
You can take it, don't mind us. Just don't give out your card details. A lot of sharks out there. Quiet!
This is the sole reason they're up this high. These guys fucking suck.
Of all the monsters to make a spin-off series out of, you chose the ones from the worst rated episode in the history of this show, when we get in the 4-part Dregs miniseries. Anyway, the Sea Devils are just really goofy, like... Why is he Super Mario? I like how the Doctor condemns this man when he kills one of them. Then later on, Dan slaughters like 5 of them. Maybe the Doctor knows that attempting to stop Dan in his quest to make other people die is futile. I like their design, but the mouths don't move for some reason and they speak out of this metal thing, which is weird because in the spin-off, which is set only a few hundred years after this episode, they just look like blue humans. Chip is the nefarious Skinflap's weird homunculus child that basically acts as her goon, going around yoinking people off the hospital ward so his master can steal their body. And Cassandra steals his body, which he accepts because he's the most loyal homuncule there is. But due to him being a shoddily made clone, they both slowly die, eventually going back in time where she dies in her past self's arms.
What a fucking narcissist.
Chip got done so dirty he was basically indoctrinated into killing himself. Future kind. Horrifically mutated feral humans at the end of time that have some Shark Boy and Lava Girl ass teeth. They cannibalize non-mutated humans, which is why the other humans are compelled to get the fuck off this rotting dead corpse of a planet. They are serviceable antagonists and I harbor no ill will towards them. Madam Covarian. Oh my
my god, guys, it's a mysterious woman that keeps showing up. I'm sure they won't do this bit like 5 other times in the future.
Kovarian is just really dumb.
Yeah, let me just blow up the TARDIS real quick. Home planet can't get into a war if the universe is gone.
Can't even brainwash a child soldier properly. Falls in love with the person she was meant to kill in like half an hour. You'd have better luck just putting a young 21st century blonde woman under an anvil with some string on it than doing all this. I like the scene where Amy just goes ballistic at her for turning her baby into slop, but this wasn't on a timeline, wasn't it? So she's just still out there. Doesn't get resolved.
Chloe Webber and a stupid sea thing.
Why did they make her speak like she's just been punched in the lung? This episode gets a lot of flack, but I think it's really funny. Like, this girl just draws silly drawings and they zoom in on them and play a scary noise.
Rose gets attacked by a
Scribbled line, and Kel is one of the most amusing characters in this show. And the drawing of the dad.
I'm coming to get you, Chloe. Fetch me another beer from the fridge, Chloe. Monks! I don't really care about the monks. They go around and 1984 the world look a bit crusty.
Then Bill uploads a 17 yottabyte zip bomb of images of her mum and the day is saved.
I like them in extremis.
Super Mario.
They were alright in the next one, but why did you make this 3 parts? There's so many episodes that could have been improved by having more time instead of this mummified mediocrity. Anyway, I don't think a 3-parter would happen today though, since that would take up about half of an entire season. Why is it only 8 episodes? Karabraxos. Delphox. All fun and games till they get Greninja involved. So this was like a tag team duo of a clone and a banker. She had this slug guy locked up who could use his evil slug powers to detect burglars.
It's like some kind of mind robber.
But the slug is not evil. The slug is a victim of blackmail. Karabraxos had his wife locked up in the basement. Pretty mean. But anyway, the Doctor does the time heist and heists the time. Then he hands old Kara his phone number, trying to slide into those Delphox DMs. She gets a tiny redemption moment where she's really old and calls the Doctor across time and space to allow him to save the slugs. Sorry, this is more of like a summary than a review of this character, but like, what do you want me to say? The son from 42. Firstly, this son is not a villain. These fuckers were scooping out his organs. I'd afflict people with Herobrine's curse if they started nicking my spleen. It's also quite fair, like the nanosecond they dump all the fuel they just stole, it lets them just get on with their day. No hard feelings. Akaton. This son, however, is a bit of a knob. Just sits there in its little planetary system mooching off of these people. I mean, it's just some random objects and the occasional child sacrifice. But what can you do? Anyway, the Doctor then does a speech about how this guy's a fat fraud and attempts the tried and true method of trying to kill it with Doctor Who lore. But that fails, and then he gets stunned by a leaf. Me when I accidentally absorb the foliage of infinite lifetimes. Stingrays. Nice to see Una actually doing something for once by firing surface-to-air missiles against these stingrays. Gotta get at least a single win. But yeah, the stingrays serve their purpose as flying evil monsters. Pretty decent. Macra. Funny crabs that live at the bottom of the road. Apparently these are classic era villains. They used to be sapient but devolved into mindless beasts that eat cars. I bet all 5 Macra fans are really gutted to see that. I think crabs are banging creatures, so you can go here. Solomon. Solomon is a greedy prat who killed an entire ark full of Silurians just so he could sell the dinosaurs aboard. Pretty basic villain, but the scene at the end where the Doctor just kills him by attaching a missile homing device to his ship is pretty raw.
Look, Solomon. The missiles. See them shine. See how valuable they are.
Enjoy your bounty.
That is a fire-ass line. And I bet his ass was also on fire when those missiles hit. Also, the actor who plays him would go on to play the first Doctor, which is also kind of funny. Scovox Blitzer. Yeah, baby, the Scovox Blitzer. I really, really like its name. It's just fun to say. It waddles around like a little crab and shoots things. I like how it gets styled on by Danny Pink, but then Danny Pink gets styled on by a car. So a fleeting victory. Why does the 12th Doctor look like he's got the bloody poltergeist on? I didn't like the subplot of the Doctor and Danny just arguing the entire time, like just shut up. Didn't come here for drama, I came here for the Scovox Blitzer. Then they dump it into space. Never got to sco a single vox. Wood Woman and Landlord. This episode was really sad. This broken man who turned his mum into wood so she wouldn't die to a terminal illness. Sure, he feeds people to bugs to keep her alive, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Can't fault him for that. Silent Ship. Pretty cool concept with the Silence trying to make their own Tesco home brand TARDIS, but it breaking down and using people to try power it on, which usually did that to them. However, James Corden touches the panel and the Silence Ship rejects him immediately and doesn't want to be there anymore. Emoji robots. I can't believe they hit the Doctor and Bill with the skull emoji and then tried to kill them. That's so funny. If this episode was made today, do you think they'd use that withered flower emoji? Lots of people didn't like these things when they first graced our screens because emojis are bad. Reddit wholesome 100. But I think they're pretty neat. The goal is to make everyone happy, so when someone is sad, they kill them. Can't be sad if you're dead. One peace treaty later and all's well that ends well. Except all those people that got turned into fertilizer. Big wasp. This woman fornicated with a wasp. Half human, half big wasp goes around wasping on people because it read a book. If it was reading a different book, what would have happened? Like if it started reading The Hungry, Hungry Caterpillar, would it have just gone around eating lettuce? Then it drowns itself in a lake looking for its rock. I'd drown myself in a lake if someone threw my precious rock in there. Crephrayus, a demonic bird thing that can only be seen by people with crippling depression. Would make getting diagnosed really, really easy. Just put one in a comically large bird cage and get people to look at it. What if there was an evil version of the Crephrayus that only happy people could see? Mercy Hattigan, a human that falls for the classic trick of, yes, I will work with the scary aliens, and then gets betrayed immediately. But she gets betrayed in a funny way, when they turn her into a big robot. And the Doctor blasts a time vortex. And then the Roblox... What? Anyway, it leaves and it dies, whatever. She also gets punched in the face, which is funny. The puddle? What the hell are they putting in cars nowadays? Got the mist that makes you God and the oil that turns you into a transcendent lesbian. She's not even a villain, really. Just wants Bill, but just gets cock-blocked by the Doctor for an entire season before finally being able to come back after he gets shot in the chest by a Cyberman. I like how 12, 13, and 14 all regenerate because they get hit by a big laser. The Maya, the Doctor's acting like he's all that until they bring out my man Bernie. The plan is to fake being Odin. This effect looks so fucking funny. And then they steal the Vikings and they turn them into edible slop. And the Doctor double tricks them by constructing a fake sea serpent. Isn't this what they did in Lego Ninjago? Ninjago also has a villain called Omega who's built up as this powerful force just to die immediately in a comical way. Although the reality war would have been saved if the Doctor and Mrs. Flood did the tornado of creation.
Harmony Shawl. Were they gonna make these guys like a recurring thing because they appear in 2 consecutive stories and then get left on a cliffhanger? Another alien species to infiltrate unit. They're kind of horrifying though, slicing your head open and replacing your brain. But to be fair, that is a really clean slice. Why bother with all this body snatching stuff when clearly your expertise is in the logging industry or making some banger lentil stew? Pigmen.
I've given you 64 golden ingots, and the best thing you can give me is gravel and string. Where are the ender pearls?
For Daleks designed for thinking outside the box, they certainly thought about this.
Oh no, you see, creating the pig people is vital in our plan to make more of our race.
Still a better plan than whatever the fuck the Rani was doing. The pigmen just look kind of funny, but are horrifying if you think about it. Imagine just chilling just to get yoinked by some pepper pots and forcefully turned into a pig. What is it with nefarious alien species wanting to genetically modify pigs? At least you aren't like poor Laszlo, who still has all the memory of his past life. Good job surviving them horrible experiments, Laszlo. Now you get to live as a freakish pig hybrid in 1930s America. Land of the free, more like land of the free range, and that's the best case. Battery farm for you. Smilers. Is it just me, or the Smilers' neutral expressions look more threatening than their actual menacing ones? Like, they look like they've seen a horrible thing, which kind of tracks considering they sentence people to be eaten by a whale. There's even human Smiler hybrids. What are the government doing? This is what they spend our taxpayer money on. How about fixing all those bloody potholes? But anyway, the red eyes make them look like they've been constipated for 40 minutes. The Sheriff of Nottingham and the Robot Knights. Serviceable antagonists. The Sheriff is a pretty funny little guy too. Just gonna lump him in with them. The real highlight of this episode was the Doctor fighting Robin Hood with a dinner spoon. Ooh, it's a Gelf. What a funny name that is. Like a cross between a ghost and a elf. Bunch of greedy gelfs, if you ask me. The Doctor was willing to help you after you got turned into blue gas during the Time War, but you just had to threaten to take over humanity. Why does like 90% of the aliens in this show want to take over humanity? Humans are like a C-tier species at best. Like, you could be a better creature, like a... I don't know, I'm running out of things to say here. If I just spout a bunch of nonsense, someone will probably find it funny. Mr. Sweet. I like how he's just this horrible, disgusting little red worm thing, who's apparently an ancient creature from the Cretaceous period. Also, he does this thing where he makes people red. Didn't like this episode, but I did like this little red guy. Didn't really care for this old woman he carried around with him though. I'll just put Mrs. Gillyflower here as well. Wanted to launch a weapon to wipe out humanity so only the people she deems worthy can live on. Isn't this the plot of Pokemon X and Y? Because this episode was released like a few months before that came out. Can't believe Game Freak stole the plot of the Crimson Horror. Mr. Sweet even kind of looks like a Yveltal fetus. Maestro. The first member of the Pantheon of Discord to be on this list. So Maestro is the god of music, and not that fond of musicals, to be honest. But then again, this episode is barely a musical anyway. There's like one proper song at the end. Could have made the Doctor and Maestro have a rap battle, but instead you shove him in a drum and have these Skinwalker versions of the Beatles press one piano key, which just kills Maestro. So Maestro pops out of this piano and does the iconic giggle, which makes the Doctor absolutely shit himself and he runs away.
But look, guys, it's Ruby's mother, isn't she? She's mysterious.
They do more baiting about her being mysterious and scary by making her play the theme of the Trickster from Sarah Jane Adventures. Her mother even wears a Trickster-esque cloak when she was dropping her off
And they even mention the trickster in the finale. Guess the trickster was too busy harassing middle-aged women to bother with this nonsense. The only foreshadowing this episode gives to the finale is
I've got a dog, he's called Fred. My dog is alive, he's not dead.
Does this mean that Sutek's dead name is Fred? And then randomly out of nowhere they start breaking out into dance because the Pantheon members are just that powerful that even when they leave, a bit of their power lingers on for a while, which is a really funny concept, though this scene would have been made like 100 times better if all the actors had a horrified expression on their face like they were being puppeted by an external force. But Maestro is probably the second weakest member of the Pantheon, only beating this baby. But it doesn't mean they're bad, and one of those members is only higher than them because of a very ironic enjoyment, but we'll come back to that one later. Ashad. So the whole point of Cybermen is that they are humans that have had their emotions removed, right? So what if there was a Cyberman who didn't have their emotions removed? He was pretty alright. He shows up to the villa of and then yoinks this grey sludge and leaves. He's pretty menacing, to be fair, instead of the usual I've had all my organs removed. He's more, yeah, didn't want them organs anyway. After grabbing the sludge, he goes and starts trying to wipe out humanity in the future, and then gets shrunk by the Master and detonated. I swear half the time the Cybermen show up, they always just get stuck in the shadow of the Daleks or the Master. Usually the latter. Like, bloody hell, do something else for once, man. Anyway, this was a really anticlimactic end to a villain. Tell you what, the 13th Doctor era really loves to waste its recurring antagonists, doesn't it? But who gives a shit about him? And we get to learn about the Timeless Child, yay! Then he comes back in the power of the Doctor because the Master cloned him, but he has no character and is just a walking, stomping robot now. Boring! Dots and Slugs, the true heroes of Dot and Bubble, working hard to remove Lindy Pepperbean from the world. I like how the Dot decided, yes, I will make Big Slug, instead of just doing this. This weed whacker is really pissing me off, but I think the slugs are funny so they get put here. King James. This guy is just really funny. He's the stereotypical pompous knob, but the actor plays him in such a funny way. Come back to London with me, Ryan. The actor will also go on to play Mr. Ring-a-Ding, double dosage of peak. I like how he constantly refers to himself as Satan's greatest foe, which is really funny if you consider the fact that the Doctor has literally killed Satan. Rogue Weeping Angel. The scene where the Rogue Angel is harassing Claire while she scrambles for her keys is genuinely terrifying. Flux could have been so good. Why'd you have to go and eat that bloody pangolin? Village of the Angels might be my favourite 13th Doctor episode. The Angels are treated as a genuine threat again after getting slightly more mediocre in every story they appear in. The Rogue Angel is a fugitive of the Division, who apparently have their own set of angels to go and yoink it because it's like a Division whistleblower or something. But the angel materializes itself in the TARDIS by coming out of Yez's iPhone and pilots it as the lights flicker so it can move. So its plan is to give the Division the Doctor, so they leave it the fuck alone. And it succeeds. One of the rare instances where a villain actually wins in this show, which is...
Never mind, Tecteun fucking stole it anyway.
Time Beetle. This beetle is technically a part of the Pantheon of Discord, in the same ranks as my goat, the Grask. The beetle changes Donna's timeline to make her turn right instead of left. Sends the world into a horrific dystopia after the Doctor perishes because Donna wasn't there to talk him down after he drowns the Scorpion Thing's children, so he just ends up drowning alongside with them. Then the episode shows what life on Earth would be like if the Doctor stopped existing, which is, not good. Hey, remember the beloved cast of the Sarah Jane Adventures? All dead. Remember the beloved cast of Torchwood? Also all dead. Remember the episode where the Titanic was gonna crash into the Earth? The Titanic crashes into the Earth and detonates London. Britain ends up collapsing and becoming a fascist dystopia.
That's what I called him last time.
What do you mean?
It's happening again.
Sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Not as bad as the stars going out because no one could stop the Daleks from detonating the reality bomb. All of this avoided because Donna didn't listen to her mum's nagging. Bloody hell, Sylvia, you've gone and doomed the entirety of existence. Anyway, Donna averts the timeline by going back in time and diverting traffic by killing herself, and the Beetle dies. The scene afterwards where Donna reveals Rose helped her escape that timeline by saying bad wolf, and in every instance of text screams bad wolf over and over again.
What's bad wolf?
It's the end of the universe.
Peak cinema. However, the Beetle itself just sits there for 40 minutes, so I can't really rank it that high, but it did cause one of the best episodes in the entire show to occur, so you get points for that. Shriek. When I read the synopsis for Lucky Day, for a split second I thought that said Shrek, and I got really confused. The Shriek is a funny little guy that spits up green slop on people so it can track them later and eat them. The Doctor and Ruby effortlessly defeat it, but Conrad decides the best course of action is to... Actually, I'm sick of talking about Conrad. This ain't about you. Always weaseling your way into stories you don't belong in. So Kate sics the Shriek on the one who shall not be named after he insults her dad. Fair enough, bit morally dubious, and something tells me that this scene will come up during the spin-off. If I see Conrad once in that spin-off, I am turning the TV off. The only thing that'll be between the land and the sea is my television set. The Reapers. Scary bat things that seek out fucked up timelines and slurp up all the affected people. Puts time back to normal and they get a delectable meal out of it. It's weird how they never show up again despite how often time gets all messed up. They're like a disease that infect a wound in the space-time continuum. Clearly the Doctor has started carrying around some antiseptic cream with him after this incident. Luckily, the day is saved when Rose's dad throws himself in front of a car.
2 fucked up timeline episodes where the resolution is throwing yourself into oncoming traffic.
Kel attempts to report Rose to the council, although to be fair, she did take a council axe from a council van and began destroying a council road.
I'm reporting you to the council!
Again, Fear Her is such a hilarious episode. I wish we could go back to the days where this was considered the worst of Doctor Who. The reality war would have been saved if he showed up.
You just stole a council woman from the council bone palace.
I'm reporting you to the council!
Villain Guard. Weapon manufacturers that manipulate people's faiths into fighting wars for them. Hey look! Political commentary that isn't abysmal. Boom is such a good episode. I like how it has a bit of nuance and doesn't just go, well, religion is bad actually. Having a faith could be a good thing. Believing there's life after death can be comforting. It's only when dickheads start going, well, if you actually don't do what God says, then you'll go to the pain dimension for all eternity. So best get in the trenches. God needs a new yacht. Then Joy to the World happens and they make a complicated plan with a briefcase with a star in it so they can mine the star for resources or something. And that star ends up becoming the star from the Bible. So they create their own faith that I assume becomes the one that people worship in the far future. Joy literally gets bullied into killing herself by the Doctor and turning into a star, and this is portrayed as a happy ending. Smart suits. Speaking of political commentary done well, evil capitalism spacesuits that kill people because they weren't making enough profit. Basically, just imagine the plot of Lethal Company, but instead of being ejected out into space, your spacesuit just removes your ability to breathe and automatically tries to kill everyone else. Again, really funny how we go from this scathing critique of capitalism where money is valued over human life to kablam in like 15 episodes. King Hydroflex. They got the guy from Taskmaster to play an intergalactic dictator. For that alone, you're getting put up at least in the top half of the list. He gets decapitated and then gets shoved in a bag. Then his big red crazy frog looking robot body starts decapitating people. And the robot finds him and deems his head too damaged. So he turns him into dust and steals his jewel. And then everyone dies in a horrifying aviation disaster. The mighty Jagrafragra of the Holy Big ceiling slug that controls the media. Bet they got one of these in the BBC. I like how this thing is later revealed to be put there by the Daleks. Then he suffers the wrath of a United Kingdom July heatwave and then fucking explodes into slop. This is what happens when you build your houses with too much insulation. Carvanista. They really did start the flux by having Hacker T-Dog dangle the Doctor and Yaz over a pit of acid. So this guy is part of a race of dog people that are assigned to specific humans to protect them. Useless fucks! Where the hell were you the 900 other times the Earth got harassed by the entire left arm of the Milky Way? I like how they just have flux-proof spaceships. What else has this? How did they make this? Anyway, Carvanista had a history with the Doctor when they were a timeless young adult, so they bait us with more lore before revealing, sorry Doctor, got a Neuralink implant that kills me if I talk about season 12. Then he breaks into Dad's house and puts him in a cage.
You defile the sacred legacy of my forebears.
Don't look anything like forebears.
Then Dan and Yaz and this old man spend 3 years dicking around in the past and writing a message to attract Carvanista to rescue them.
What the fuck is that?
Then his entire race gets wiped out off screen and he does a howl. Such total whiplash. I know dogs howl when they're sad, but it goes from "I killed your entire species" to a man in a dog costume howling like a Discord moderator after breaking up with their e-kitten. And then he's like, "Oh, Doctor, you did it. You vanquished the Urs. Goodbye." They brought back fucking Vinder in Power of the Doctor, but not Carvanista. What a scam. Silurians. The Silurians in the modern era are being absolutely carried by Madame Vestra. Like, what else do they have? 1 2-part episode and getting shot into space by Helium Wartnell and a guy that gets killed by a briefcase. So the Silurians are not actually aliens, but existed on Earth millions of years ago. So the only story they do with them is like, "Oh, they were here first, but the humans will not accept them because they're green. What do we do about this conundrum?" But still, they're a decent, sympathetic faction. But Madame Vestra is the only reason they're up this high, and she isn't even a villain. Also, they got done dirty. They're really making a series about their fishy cousins. Maybe we'll get an episode about the Silurians once again. The Raven. "Clara, watch out for that bird! No! Oh, damn it, Clara! Now I've got to punch a wall for a bit and overthrow me planet's government, you bloody idiot!" The Raven from Face the Raven is funny. I like the image of a bird just flying at someone and disintegrating them. Wouldn't be threatening a shielder, Doctor. Never know when she might bring out the mighty eagle. The Editor. Another one of these Dalek plants like the Jagrafes. But I put him a bit higher than the slug because he doesn't just sit on the ceiling making noises. I like how he figures out who the Doctor is because dumbfuck Adam starts sending him his tiny feeble mind waves directly to him. Then he gets blown up by the slug.
Also, he's played by Simon Pegg, and it's kind of funny.
Henry Van Statten, some rich nincompoop who shoves a bunch of Doctor Who memorabilia down his underground lair. This story takes place in 2012, which is really funny because the Daleks invaded Earth like 4 years earlier and just left the Dalek on red. But yeah, I thought he was pretty enjoyable as a villain. Of course, being a billionaire, he's morally bankrupt. Anyway, after the inevitable incident where the Dalek gets free and kills everyone, Henry gets mind-wiped and thrown into some random place in the United States. Rather have a dozen Henrys than a single Conrad. Old Ruby. The 73 yards woman is such a funny concept for a monster. Just some wench that follows you around at a distance and spreads rumors about you to people in such a convincing way that they immediately ditch you upon spending a second within earshot of her. But then it devolves into Roger's shenanigans and it loses me. Then the Spectre makes Gwilly resign somehow. And it is revealed that it was Ruby all along. And then she prevents the episode from happening. The only reason it's up this high is because I just find the idea of setting an ancient hex onto a politician genuinely hilarious. These witch creatures spit bars at people to perform magic, so they get defeated by Shakespeare. Martha and the Doctor just spouted a bunch of nonsense at them. Do you think the mold in J.K. Rowling's room is a fixed point in time? Pyrovials. The Pyrovials attempt to detonate the Earth so they can steal it and live on it. If you want a hot, sweltering, inhospitable location, just come to the UK in June. Don't bother with setting off Mount Vesuvius. Poor Donna goes from having a nice trip to Italy to having to sacrifice tens of thousands of people to save the planet. But we do get one of the best scenes of the show, where Donna tells the Doctor that it doesn't have to... We don't have to kill everyone, you know? Like, save a couple of people. The scene's made even better during a much later episode due to a familiar looking character that the Doctor saves. Also, they spray the Pyrovials with a water pistol. This was a good episode, but the villains weren't the reason for that. I mean, the casting crew clearly must have loved this episode. The Vampires of Venice, another Italy-based monster.
Is that fucking sound effect? Is there in the episode?
I like how the Doctor tries to not repeat the same mistake he made with Rose and Mickey by trying to repair Rory and Amy's relationship when she comes onto him. Which, firstly, yuck. Secondly, poor Rory. They really like tormenting this poor man at every opportunity. Dies and comes back more often than the bloody Doctor at this point. Anyway, you can't have a nice vacation anywhere in the Doctor Who universe because there's fish people about. What a scam. Didn't mention that on the brochure. I like how the leader of the vampires genuinely tries to negotiate with the Doctor to help rebuild her race after it got consumed by the cracks in time. But the Doctor is like, nah, you kill people, then stops them from causing a biblical flood. And then Rosanna over here kills herself out of spite. Another dead race on the Doctor's conscience. The Wire.
Lengths of wire.
The Wire's species tried to execute it for being naughty, but instead it hid inside a television set from the 1960s and now goes around eating people's faces. I like how in the second half of the episode she just goes, hungry, hungry, over and over again. I get it. Be patient. Then she enlists the help of this magpie fellow. What is it with humans in this series trying to help evil aliens? What did you expect to happen? Her plan is to suck off everyone who's watching the Queen's coronation and regain corporeal form, but she fails and dies. I just find her constantly saying hungry to be rather amusing, so she could go up here. Kazran Sardik. Yeah, you know, I could save all those 400 people in that crashing ship by pushing a couple of buttons, but my daddy hit me. Then the Doctor shows up and fucking irreparably alters his entire life to make him less of a miserable prick. It's such a funny premise for a Christmas Carol parody. The Doctor should do this more often. Go back and give young Davros a PlayStation 4 with a copy of Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. Would be too busy getting top frags with the Electropy to make the Daleks. Mr. Clever.
The 11th Doctor, if he was evil.
Never have seen an evil mirror of the Doctor before. Nightmare in Silver is truly an episode. Whilst Clara and Warwick Davis are fighting off an unstoppable horde of Cybermen, the Doctor's just sat up here playing chess. I don't think this story should have been about the Cybermen, because the whole thing is that they don't have no emotions. And Mr. Clever is a smug, evil bastard. Basically just an excuse to have Matt Smith be all evil and fucked up. training him for the day he dons the mantle of the villain in Morbius. Also, this story is the last story the Cybermen get that doesn't involve the Master. Every other time they show up in a major role after this, the Master's always there, just scheming about. Lazarus.
I want to be young. Sorry, mate. Gonna have to
decompose and rot like the rest of us, I'm afraid. Otherwise, you'll become a horrifying CGI scorpion monster. This is the sort of design they'd give a 50-year-old returning villain in the modern series. Like, I can see them having a whole 45-minute episode of build-up just to reveal this scorpion thing and have it be that caveman the Doctor attempted to bash in with a rock in the first episode. Anyway, he then falls off a tower and dies. In trying to prevent his death, he died. How tragic. The real villain was the hubris of mankind, which is like every human villain in the series. Don't know what the Doctor even sees in us. Like the equivalent of having a babysitter stop a toddler from drowning in soup. Leaves us alone for 10 seconds and the Earth gets stolen, blown up, subjugated, or all three. What in the peak is this design? This is one of the coolest designs for a monster on this show. Looks like a guy you'd see on the Splatoon subway. I like how they could instantly make a villain more threatening by having them refer to the Doctor as a Time Lord.
He knows a bit too much.
Then he starts calling the Time Lords frauds, which is true. But yeah, cool villain, cool design, and he looks like an isopod, which are kind of funny looking things. Also, he converts dead people into electromagnetic projections to send a message for his kind to pick him up, but then the Doctor uses some time shenanigans to delete all his contacts, and he strolls up to his little pod to try and salvage it, but little did he know that he was before the flood, and the Doctor blows up a dam and drowns him. The Rani, or Mrs. Flood. Oh, Rani. You know, Master, for the entire 20-year lifespan of the modern series, every time a mysterious woman shows up, everyone goes, "Oh, it's the Rani! It's the Rani! She's back!" I don't know why people wanted her back so bad. She just faffs about with random experiments. I think people just want more villainous Time Lords, which is fair, but sadly, the whole point of the modern series is that the Doctor is the last of the Time Lords. Which, firstly, never call yourself that again. Lord. You had Susan, Omega, and 2 Ranis kicking about in the second half of season 2. And I bet the Master's around somewhere, though he's a bit of a tooth right now. Anyway, after 20 years of genuine brain rot, they introduced this character called Mrs. Flood, who starts showing up spouting a bunch of fourth wall breaks. In the first series, she was kind of funny because she displayed absolutely no nefarious tendencies other than blaming this guy for parking a blue rectangle in front of her house. Then in Legend of Ruby Sunday, she just starts menacing Ruby's nan.
I would love a cup of tea.
Would you, sweetheart? Well, we'd all like a lot of things that aren't going to happen.
Oh, dearie, I'm gonna storm heaven's gates and claim them in me own name.
Then she starts yapping about the one who waits. How did she know about Sutek? Like, did she see the TARDIS and was like,
"Oh, that silly Doctor. You've got a vengeful death god on your TARDIS, you pillock."
So many people, me included, thought she'd be a part of the Pantheon. You know, like the whole main villainous faction of this entire era. Which was wrong! I feel like they had no idea what to do with her until the second series.
Yeah, just put her in Romana's clothes.
Give her a Clara line, give her a Missy line, that'll do. I'll think about it later. Got more important things to do, like maximizing the usage of infant babies in the next series. Then in season 2 or 15, or I'm just calling it season 15, I don't care. They have her appear in every single episode, which is literally the same thing they did with Susan Triad in the last series. Then randomly at the end of the Interstellar Song Contest in a post-credit scene, she shows up and my toe sizes.
"Oh, by the way, I'm the Rani from critically acclaimed episode
Dimensions in Time."
Nah, guys, cause Flood is from Rain, and then you, the Rani.
Use the wrong anagram.
Almost as brain rot inducing as Susan Triad Technologies somehow being an anagram for Sutek. This is like the Master's reveal in Utopia if it was really bad. Like, it's the same in concept, right? Like, both of these villainous Time Lords who have disguised themselves in a time when the Doctor is considered to be the last one in existence. However, this time, instead of intriguing the audience by bringing back the chameleon arc the Doctor used in a prior episode this season to disguise himself,
Mother, this watch is...
and making this Yana fellow have done the same thing, then have the Doctor freak the fuck out that he's found another Time Lord after the entire series up to this point has bashed us over the head with the Doctor being the very last one, then having it revealed to be the Master, which the audience, who probably haven't seen any of the classic series, won't know who the fuck that is, will still clock 2 key things. This is another Time Lord like the Doctor. And 2, he is not a nice man. One of the best scenes in the entire show. And then you have the Rani, who shows up sometimes and gets sucked into space and regenerates in a post-credit scene after the Doctor has gone in front of these 2 chuckleheads who just stand there mildly confused. Then she splits in 2 and goes,
I'm the Rani, the Time Lord scientist,
and leaves. What in the Marvel post-credit scene was that? I've gone over her cockamamie scheme about 3 times in this video, so I won't again. But if you need a reminder, it's stupid! You have a wish, baby. I wish I had Time Lord DNA. Oh, but the baby wasn't powerful enough yet until it grows up. Wait then! One of your 13 lives is the same lifespan as the entire Roman Empire. Really can't wait 18 years for this baby to grow up. Or just like, use your time-traveling machine to time travel to when the baby is an adult, instead of this insane, stupid scheme where she creates a false world with these supernova stick things and drags Omega out of the pits to steal his sperm. Alternatively, scrap this baby plan, go back in time before the Master blew up Gallifrey. It doesn't have that time lock thing on it anymore, does it? People could just freely go there. Look, there's a division agent from Gallifrey in the past. Stick a syringe up some council member and run off. I do like the new bi-generated Rani, especially in the first scene where she shows up on a horse and turns a family into ducks, but she just completely overshadows Mrs. Flood, who I like more, and gets like 5 lines of dialogue in the next 2 episodes. Genuinely had more screen time in the random 2-second Twitter thread teasings at the end of every episode. She then reveals that Time Lords bi-generate as an evolutionary defense mechanism to stop them from going extinct. So does that mean the 15th Doctor isn't actually the Doctor, but the Doctor Junior? By generation is less of a plot hole and more of a plot crater. What are the implications of this? Anyway, then Mel rides up several flights of stairs with a motorbike and then starts listing off the TARDIS wiki entry of the Rani. And then the Rani shows up and goes, I'm the Rani, and I'm gonna rain me all over your parade. After Kate reads out Omega's TARDIS wiki page, the Rani's like, Oi, Flood, what you doing here? Conrad needs his bloody sandwich. Get off with you. And then Omega appears and one of the Ranis get eaten and then the other one leaves. What a waste. It's a shame because she does have genuinely entertaining scenes, but she dies halfway through the final episode.
So we can focus on what the people are really here for.
I get that was like a last minute decision, obviously, but could you have just made Omega, like, bitch slap the Doctor against the wall and have that be the reason he regenerates? Maybe the set was taken down by then, I don't know. Also, I don't think any of the Rani stuff was reshot, so that was the intentional ending. I don't want to talk about this episode anymore. The only reason the Rani is up this high is because she was kind of funny as Mrs. Flood, and then the reveal and the things she does were so baffling, they kind of wraps around to being mildly humorous. Also, I like these bone dinosaur things. I felt sad when the one in Wish World fell over. Ice Warriors. The Ice Warriors are another classic villain. They're alright, got nothing against them. They're Martians. It's pretty cool. What's not cool is that one hops on a nuclear submarine and attempts to nuke the Earth. And then there's some other ones who turn some British colonizers into rubber band balls. This is what my spine looks like after sitting down and writing this script for the past like 5 weeks. I like that in Waters of Mars they mention them having being attacked by the Flood. Atrexy, the Doctor bursting into someone's room whilst they're provoking their bone beast really sets the tone for the 11th Doctor era. Anyway, the Atrexy are big booze haunt looking things that run a big space prison where they put naughty things like this worm, but the worm skedaddles into the earth, and the Atrexy are not very pleased. Instead of thoroughly searching for the worm, the Atrexy are like, can't be fucking bothered. I'll look around for like 20-ish minutes, and if they haven't showed up, we'll just napalm the whole planet. What did Prisoner Zero do to warrant blowing up an entire civilization? In the episode, it just turns into dog walkers and hides in a basement. Then the Doctor sends Prisoner Zero to them, and they still attempt to firebomb the planet. So the Doctor has a go at them, which introduces the trend of the Doctor flipping through all of his previous regenerations, which scares the Atrexy away. Minotaur, the god complex, is a really complex portrayal of faith. There's people who put faith in God, or 4chan conspiracy boards, or gambling. I like how Rory's constantly told by the faith-eating building to fuck off the entire episode because Rory has seen death 100 times, and the cold embrace of the void of nothingness is but a feeling of nostalgia for him at this point, and he has faith in nothing. Also, the Minotaur is here. He goes around and eats people that have gone mad with faith, and the Doctor euthanizes him. The real villain of this episode was this fucking David Walliams rodent man. What a prick. A cowardly creature that tries to off everyone else in the hopes the Minotaur just can't be bothered to eat anyone else. Also, I like how without fail, every time they introduce a person that the Doctor really likes, they just always die by the end. The Meep. So Rose finds this horrible rodent in her shed that is hiding from these big bug men called the Woolsworth Warriors, who initially puts up a facade of kindness and then is revealed to actually be a wanted war criminal.
You stupid woman with your weird child!
The Meep does not support the transgender community.
Yeah, the Meep was the best part of this episode. The Star Beast was, in my opinion, the weakest of the 360th episodes. You remember that whole thing at the end of Series 4, right? Where Donna's memories had to be erased so the infinite knowledge of a Time Lord she gained doesn't incinerate her mind. Yeah, turns out she could just get rid of it at any point.
Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
It was a woman like 4 hours ago, but you know, I'm a male, and I'm currently presenting a video about this show about a Time Lord, and I can confirm that I do not understand. Also, they kind of imply that the reason why Rose is transgender is because of the meta-crisis thing that happened.
Those bloody liberals are putting regeneration energy into our women and turning the kids trans.
Why the fuck would you imply that? To any of my trans viewers watching this, please inform me if or if not your mother has spawned a David Tennant before giving birth to you. Anyway, the second the Meep turns evil, they just become so cartoonishly nefarious. The Meep will fucking blow up London. However, the day is saved and the Meep alludes to the boss, who still hasn't shown up. But I don't care.
That's right, Doctor. It was me,
Clive Finch. Then they take the Meep away and probably have it publicly executed.
Also, the Meep brainwashes employees of UNIT.
Miss Foster was sent by the Oedipus to repopulate their species after their old breeding planet got yoinked by the Daleks. They use weight loss pills to convert people's fat into marketable little creatures, and then the Oedipus leave. They don't take Miss Foster with them because what they're doing is very illegal, and she's a loose end, so she gets a cartoonish Wile E. Coyote death. That is the biggest reason why she's up here. I'm a very easily entertained person. This frog! It wasn't really a villain, just more of a lonely little scrunkly extravertial consciousness grown bored by eons of isolation. This conversation the Solitract had with the Doctor was pretty cool. It's not its fault its presence corrodes the fabric of existence. The real villain was this bum father that ditched his blind daughter to go prat about with a false image of his dead wife. Literally sets up audio recordings of horrid monsters into scaring her into not wandering off because she's wondering where the fuck her dad's gone. Remove her from this man's custody immediately. The Ravagers. Vindicators, Ravagers. When we get in the Evokers, Swarm and Azure. What is it with the 13th Doctor era and having the main antagonists of the season just have random things on their face? I like how Swarm gets sealed in a containment chamber at the dawn of time, but Azure just lives in the Arctic Circle as a human. In the first few episodes, they're actually quite menacing. I like this scene where Swarm says, "I know what you are," because he knows the Doctor from before the Time Lords wiped her memories, where they were arch enemies. If they get brought back, please let them fight with the Master over the Doctor's attention. It'd be really funny. So after abducting Dan's girlfriend for some reason, they start falling off a bit. They twaddle on down to the Time Temple where they break the flow of time, and we get an episode of them in a void. I have no idea what's going on in this episode, I'm going to be honest. They then go to the Division HQ, kill Tecteun, and bait the Timeless Child stuff to the audience for a while before taking the Doctor to go meet their god, but kills them because failed them, even though the one who actually stopped the flux, the Doctor, is there. And they just have a nice chat. Alright, even warns the Doctor about the Master. After this, they probably headed down to the Gallifrey Guzzler for a pint of space alcohol. But yeah, these two are probably the best original villains of the 13th Doctor's era, which is really sad if you look at how much of the video is left. Kleinman Halpen. This guy's family has subjugated the entire Ood species for centuries, putting a fat force field around his big brain to basically lobotomize the Ood into doing what he wants. For all his life, he was looked after by an Ood called Sigma, but old Sigma didn't like his entire race being enslaved very much, so played the long game by putting chemicals in his hair tonic to turn him into an Ood. But this episode is really upsetting at times. It starts out with the Doctor and Donna finding an Ood bleeding out in the snow. Then they're all shoved in crates and gunned down. How can you do this to all the Ood? They look so polite. Still, beautiful episode. And it's satisfying to see this rancid fuck get turned into the very thing he once subjugated for profit, thus placing him relatively high. Atoll Kess. What the hell was this guy's problem? They really were like, damn, this episode needs more action. Include this guy that maniacally laughs like a cartoon villain was trying to crush the Doctor under a crane. What happened to him to make him like that? I like how with Halpin they converted him to one of them. This guy was too evil to be kept alive. No oodling about for you. Just the cold embrace of death. The Gunslinger. This cyborg guy was subject to horrific experiments by this World War II scientist guy to be used as a weapon of mass destruction. So he's a bit upset. So the scientist flees into some random Wild West town, and the Gunslinger, not wanting to march on in and slaughter everyone trying to kill him, gives them multiple weeks to find him so he can kill him. However, the Doctor then finds out the real reason why the Gunslinger wants this Jack fellow, and he is not happy. However, some guy get down Mr. President's a scientist, so the Gunslinger gets pissed off. Anyway, Jex kills himself, and the Gunslinger is like,
"Oh, got no purpose now. Guess I'll kill myself."
"No, Gunslinger, you've got to protect these people. Sling your guns for good." And he does. The Nestine Consciousness and the Ultons. Tell you what, the first season of this show had a big obsession with fat slug CGI things. So this potted slug starts using the London Eye to beam things into plastic dummies to start killing people. Really sets the tone of the entire series, because this guy was the villain of the very first episode of the Revival era, which, evidently due to the 14 following series, did a pretty good job at introducing new viewers, so for that alone, the Nestine gets put up this high. The plastic bin is the perfect blend between goofy and horrifying. Imagine just chilling and having a bin come to life and swallow you whole, then do a comical burp sound effect. Imagine just browsing some clothes at the mall just to be shot in the chest by a mannequin. Horrifying, yet goofy. Nowadays it's all a bit too goofy. Like, yeah, I know they're singing about eating a baby, but like, this is just a Saturday afternoon at a private billionaire club. Then the Doctor and Rose kick this pen thing into the Nestine and it dies. The Nestine's gonna be super chuffed when it hears about all the microplastics in our bloodstream. I was looking through the TARDIS wiki trying to find out any other fun facts about the Ultons, and apparently Boris Johnson is a manifestation of the Nestine consciousness. There's that microplastic blood bending I was talking about. The werewolf.
Actually, it's a lupine wavelength.
I passed my English exams. I passed the. I got a 7, which is like an A plus, I think. Actually, I know I got a 6, which is like a B. I forgot what I don't care. This guy's plan is so insane. Yes, I will sick an alien werewolf on the Queen of England, so she too becomes a werewolf, and I can control the world.
Oh, what's that? You want a treat? You want walkies?
Well, colonize another country. So then the Doctor and Rose point a magnifying glass at it, and then it fucking dies. That really was a bad wolf. Also, then the Queen is like,
"Fuck you, Doctor. How dare you save me from a werewolf? If I catch you on these streets again, I'll bash your head in."
And then makes Torchwood. I think we should abolish the monarchy. Clockwork droids. These robot things stalked a French governor for basically her entire life because they thought she could fix their ship because it was named after her. Actual morons.
Doctor, the horse is here.
Yeah, they just have portals to France on their ship. All the places in time and space you could go to. And you go to pre-revolutionary France. I like how the Doctor comes in and starts going on a drunken tirade, which turned out to be a devious trick to lace the droids with anti-oil that kills them. I like their hair. They look like they're about to guard the castle of World 7. Toclophane. This is horrifying. Imagine being a person trapped at the end of time itself, with the only hope of survival being revealed to be a trap by a villainous Time Lord to gut you and shove your head in a metal sphere as part of a plot to get back at his ex. They then go on to kill 1/10 of the entire population of Earth in a brutal and horrific way. Luckily, most of this episode is hit with the old button that resets the episode. So what happened to them after this episode? Are they all just chilling at the end of time? The Veil. This rotting corpse chases the Doctor through a castle for a time frame longer than the age of the Earth. The Doctor doesn't remember dying billions of times over and over. Does the Veil remember? Can the Veil even think? I hope not, because it literally had to sit there for billions of years watching the Doctor punch a wall when there's a big shovel right there. Every time the Doctor was about to tell it about the hybrid, he goes, "Oh, I'm not telling you shit. Where the bloody hell's Clara?" And then at the end of it, when the Doctor finally breaks down that wall, it just dissolves into a pile of cogs. In all seriousness, I really like this episode as a metaphor for grief, where it takes what feels like an eternity to break through it. When I was 5 and lost my non-posable Yoshi figurine at the beach, I felt like going to the nearest brick wall and breaking it over a period of multiple reincarnations. In the giggle, the Doctor says he's over 1 billion years old, so does he remember all the resets? Because how the fuck is he still sane? How does he remember anything anymore? Maybe that's why the Matrix blew up into Timeless Children, because it had to load 4 billion years of the Doctor running around a castle onto its hard drive. Basically just sent it a zip bomb. Also, I was in-game and saw a pack of Magic the Gathering cards themed around Doctor Who. And on the back, there was just a card called Heaven Sent. If your Magic the Gathering opponent traps you in a confession dial for 4.5 billion years, then you should have just played better. I would have bought it, but it was £50. Prisoner Zero. They put Prisoner Zero on trial and it was innocent. They were willing to burn an entire planet to make sure this thing was dead. And this fuck-ass got off scot-free. Anyway, Prisoner Zero magically has a giant crack in space-time forming its little cell and hides in Amy's cupboard for 18 years just chilling until big eye creatures find them. Then it goes around disguising as people to evade them, gets bamboozled by the Doctor as most things in this series do, and then gets off scot-free. How did it convince these planet-destroying eyeballs to let it go bribe? It bribed them. Yeah, sorry Rani, sorry the Ravagers, sorry Ashad, just do not even come close to the Titan.
The Absorbaloff.
Love and Monsters is the most overhated episode in the history of this show. This shit is funny as hell. I yearn for the days that this was considered the worst episode in the series. Doesn't even crack the bottom 50 now.
It's a relationship of sorts. We've even got a bit of a love life.
Oh, let's not go into that.
Never mind, this episode fucking sucks.
The Absorbaloff comes from the planet Clom.
Clom. Yes, and I'll return there victorious.
And is obsessed with the Doctor, so infiltrates this group of other Doctor Who enjoyers, and this is a metaphor for fandom culture. People meeting up over a joint interest and becoming friends, and even lovers. But then you have the big green men that come into the fandom, kill the vibe, and absorb people into their bodies.
It tastes like chicken.
Imagine that's the last thing you hear before your body gets sucked into this horrifying green slop, man. If you look on Mrs. Flood's suitcase, you can see a sticker from Clom. Genuinely, if they revealed Mrs. Flood to be Absorbaloff, I would be more satisfied than what we got.
I'm the
Absorbaloff. You've dealt with aliens. Now meet the genuine article.
Also, this character won a contest where people could submit their own monsters to put in the show. The person who made the Absorbaloff actually has a YouTube channel. You've done this nation a service by bringing the Absorbaloff into existence. Wait, no! Why is he in the Timeless Children? No! Absorbaloff, get out of there! No! The Sycorax. These guys just chill in the outer reaches of the solar system, discover Earth, control people with blood, and drag them up onto the roofs of buildings to fling them off unless they're allowed to enslave humanity. However, the Doctor, who's currently E-Pig, isn't able to help and has these robots trying to nick his regeneration energy. These Roboform guys don't get an entry on this list because they're a bunch of frauds. They just follow around other people, equivalent of those little birds that sit on top of crocodiles picking off bugs. Got nothing to say about you. The Christmas tree is kind of funny though. Anyway, Doctor Who becomes woke and he goes on the ship and dismantles their entire operation in the span of a minute. Because it turns out that the real frauds were the Sycorax all along, and they could not actually make people throw themselves off the roof. Then he duels the Sycorax's leader and they chop off his hand. Sadly, the Doctor just starfishes a new one, and he kills the leader with a Satsuma. What an embarrassment. Anyway, then Harriet Jones shoots down a surrendering fleet of Sycorax, which the Doctor is not happy about. Thanks for usurping the government, Doc. I'm sure the next person we get in will be a much better Prime Minister than Harriet Jones. Moronic oath. John Lumick. Oh, John, what you doing? You can't be making people into Cybermen. It just ain't right. John's a pretty devious villain, but his motivations are pure. He was sick of being sick, so wanted to upload his mind into a robot body. But apparently, being a Cyberman is so painful that literally everyone who experiences it goes completely insane unless they are lobotomized immediately. Horrifying. Then the Cybermen turn on him and he gets put in the Cyber Controller. I like this scene where the Doctor's trying to reason with him.
Oh, you're a clever man. I call you a genius, except I'm the room.
I'll tell you what, I always forget how arrogant the 10th Doctor is. No wonder why he almost got thrown out the back of that bus. Anyway, when this fails, he starts yapping and subtly hinting to Mickey to do his plan. And they unlobotomize the Cybermen, who kill themselves because what they've become is too much to handle.
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
Also, they push Lumick off of a ladder. Max Capricorn, unlike John who wanted to keep on living, Max just wanted to watch the whole world burn. He was going to launch a giant boat at Buckingham Palace because he wanted to die. And when you've been reduced to a head in a golf cart, the best course of action is to mess with the shareholders a bit by firebombing a planet. Anyway, the fake-out companion pushes him into a furnace and dies as well. The second the Doctor takes a fancy to you, best start informing your next of kin because you are not long for this world. It would have been nice to have a companion that wasn't someone from 21st century London though. Plasmavore. Right, the Plasmavore is similar to Prisoner Zero, but with more style. Oh dearie, I'm gonna kill everything and
200,000 miles, and I'm gonna suck your blood with a plastic straw.
This is the real reason why they had to ban plastic straws. Not as a failed attempt to appear like they're addressing the climate crisis, but to stop old women sucking out your life force. Ain't no way they're doing that with a crappy paper straw. Anyway, the Doctor tricks the plasmavore by pretending to be a bumbling human unaware of what's going on, which lets the Jadoon identify her as an alien, and then she activates the big Meganet bomb.
You're gonna burn with me. Burn in hell!
The half-face man. This guy is actually one of those clockwork droids I was on about earlier. This guy's just kind of sad. He was tasked to find the promised land, but instead he found Earth, and not even present-day Earth. Went back millions of years and crashed. Meaning to stay alive, he had to scavenge a bunch of scrap from the environment, including living things. Whilst humanity was evolving into a species capable of civilization, this guy was scooping the spleens out of mammoths, and also humans. Being mostly made of human organs made him have emotions, so he's basically a reverse Cyberman, a Myber-san. Then the Doctor either convinces him to kill himself, or just pushes him. Then the half-face man goes into Missy's false heaven. So does that mean he got reincarnated as a Cyberman like everyone else? Really went full circle with that one. Security drone Dalek. Imagine being a previous companion of the Doctor, looking on the TV and seeing a squad of Daleks show up, advertised to be security drones, and then immediately shoot the Prime Minister, still a longer tenure than Liz Truss. I guess the governments of the Earth finally put enough lead paint in the water supply to make the human race forget about that one Dalek-related incident, because the cracks in time retcon thing doesn't hold up when they fix them.
Oh, Doc, what we gonna do about them Dalek thingies?
Oh, don't worry, Graham. I'll call the entire Dalek Empire. That'll show 'em.
The fact that Earth is even standing at this point is a miracle. So the other Daleks hate the security drone Daleks because they're part human, so kill them immediately. So after all the security drones get shot to death, the Doctor shoves all the Daleks in another TARDIS and banish them to the void. All of them. They all, thousands, maybe even millions of Daleks, all just fly straight in there, stare at a hologram of the Doctor for 10 minutes, then get crushed into a singularity. The Supreme Dalek. The Supreme Dalek is just such a massive phony. There are in fact multiple Supreme Daleks, and you can tell which one is the Supreme one by the fact that it just sits there on its ass whilst its goons run about going, "Exterminate!" The one in Journey's End gets shot in the face and blows up inside a spaceship. This big white one actually is the least fraudulent of them all, and managed to actually succeed in bringing back their race. Then a Supreme Dalek helps shove the Doctor in this box, which makes them get turned to stone. Then there's one just sat there dying in the wedding of River Song. Then there's one in Parliament. And then the last Supreme Dalek we see is getting drowned in putrid sewer slop. I just like the recurring gag of the Supreme Dalek always being some bumbling imbecile. Except the Paradigm one, which, you know, always trying to be different, those Paradigm Daleks. Parliament of Daleks? Why do the Daleks just have a political system? How do Dalek politics work? Do they vote? What policies do they even have? Does Skaro have a pothole problem? Has the economy tanked after the Dalek Empire seceded from the Pandorica Alliance? Paradigm Daleks. Yeah, I'm just gonna put like these. I'm just gonna put like a lot of random Daleks, just all together. It's a big happy family. This time, they come in multiple collectible colours. Seems like one of them crappy Toylands you get at Home Bargains that give you a random thing with a very small chance of getting like a gold coloured one. The day I get the golden Paradigm Dalek is the day my life is complete. Nothing left after that. But with how much people clown on them, they did pretty much just win. It's almost like some kind of victory of the Daleks. Every Dalek appearance after this is because these Daleks managed to pose as British allies during World War II. The Doctor absolutely just having a fit at this Dalek is really funny. He's so sick of seeing these marketable metal menaces. Literally only just gotten done with annihilating their entire species for the 5th time. Just plain sick of them at this point. Rusty. What if there was a Dalek that did not agree with what the Daleks are doing? That's what Rusty is. This rebellious scab stared at a star exploding and went, damn, this universe is kind of pretty. I think we might be the bad guys. But because, you know, the only thing they can feel is hatred, the only way he can express himself is by hating something else instead. Then he goes and slaughters a load of Daleks and gets brought back during the 12th Doctor's final episode, just chilling on the ruins of Villain Guard.
You know what? You're the very first Dalek that ever got naked for me.
Blasting any Dalek that he catches lacking. I like how he has an uneasy alliance with the Doctor because he's the #1 enemy of the Dalek race, but he also just kind of hates him. The Great Intelligence.
Stupid prick-ass Doctor ruined all my nefarious schemes. That's it. I'm calling Slendian. The Doctor will never find the 8 pages before I dive into his time stream. And so hold on. During every single episode, there is a Clara and a Great Intelligence clone fighting each other in the background. A Susan triad just chilling there with a pocket full of sand. And Sutek just chilling on the TARDIS watching the Doctor fumble around for 40 minutes. So it starts off its life as some Snow in the 1800s who possesses this Victorian bloke. Then it sends out a bunch of the snowmen and gets done in by some rain. But it lived, and it went into Earth's Wi-Fi. No wonder why it wanted the entire universe gone. It just grooms people into becoming one of its servants. And then when that fails, it calls in Slendy, goes to where the Doctor dies and jumps into his time stream. It kind of sucks how this episode just doesn't get resolved. The Doctor jumps in, goes, "Oh my god, guys, it's John Hurt," and then the episode ends. Guess the Intelligence just got jumped by an infinite number of Claras. The Reknos Queen. This big red spider lady comes down to Earth on a big Christmas star, of course being followed by the robo-frauds. And this guy laces Donna's drinks with golden particles by pretending to love her. But when she escapes, shockingly, the human that works with the alien gets waterboarded with tainted liquid and then attached to the ceiling, where they're used to awaken the babies at the center of the Earth. Then the Doctor just strolls on in and detonates the whole building, drowns the Reknos babies, was just standing there blankly. This is the moment in Turn Left where the Doctor just dies because Donna wasn't here to be like, Doctor, I think this might be a bit much. The Queen then flees back to her big festive starship and the Master sees that and is like, "Get that shit out my sight now!" And they blow it up with the Queen inside. Glory to the Saxon administration. The Krillitane. You're telling me that there's a random ass maths equation that has sent you to godhood and a bunch of school children can figure it out? We'd be better off as a country if they taught the scasis paradigm in schools instead of bashing the quadratic formula over our heads 48 times a term. There really are a lot of aliens that go around masquerading as humans in this series, but if you're going around looking like a skinned baboon, then I don't really blame you. I like how they try and tempt the Doctor with dominion over time and space. Evil, scary people in the universe? Nah. Just hit them with some algebra. Time Lord's dead. I think this mathematical representation of a triangle would have something to say about that. But then the goat Sarah Jane talks him down and he throws a chair at the screen. Yeah, this episode is basically a backdoor pilot to the Sarah Jane adventures. Tell you what, if this video does well, I'll rank all the villains in that series because there are some funny little guys in that one. Sorry, Doc. I've fallen on hard times. A bus driver's salary just doesn't pay enough.
The boneless are just horrifying. They might not even be malicious. They might just be curious. But whatever they are, they grab you and remove the Z-axis from you and spread your nervous system all over the walls. Either way, the Doctor banishes these fucks back to their own dimension. The only other people surviving this encounter being this Rigby fellow and this miserable old fuck.
Bristol! Doctor, we're in Bristol!
Well, that tracks. The flood. The word flood has been tainted by delusions of content generation, but this is horrifying. This is how you do a pathogen type villain. Instead of whatever the hell was going on in Praxius, a single touch of the water and that's it, you're dead. And if this thing gets to Earth, which has a bit more water than Mars, it's over. It's done. Also, everyone in the space is supposed to die because of fixed time points or something, but then the Doctor realizes, hey, wait a minute, who's even governing this nonsense anymore? Everyone lives. Even you, Captain Adelaide. Never mind. Recon Dalek. This guy got shit done, ignoring the embarrassing fumble where it got done in by a group of medieval-age peasants and buried in Sheffield for hundreds of years. It possesses this woman after being dug up, downloads the whole internet, which doesn't end up well for other Daleks, kills 2 police officers, and then rebuilds itself out of good old Sheffield steel. I like how when the Dalek laughs it sounds like a goose beatboxing. However, it then gets utterly clowned on, like they just run around it and grab it and attach thermite to it. But uh-oh, it's possessed Ryan's deadbeat dad and they fling it into a supernova. However, a bit of its tissue still remains and it becomes the basis for the security drone Daleks. Zygons. Brave choice to make the main enemy in the 50th anniversary of the show be these transforming rubbery things, but having multiple versions of characters running around was sort of a main theme in that one. The Zygons go into stasis for a bit after follying around with the royal family of England, then march down into the unit archives to gain all their secrets, but Kate is like, nuh-uh, I'm gonna nuke London. That'll show you. And then the Doctors mind wipe everyone into forgetting what species they are using Unit's memory thing. So they come to an agreement where the Zygons can chill on Earth as long as they stay disguised because they're scary. But uh-oh, they don't like having to stay as humans, so they start doing terrorism. That's not good. A lot of Zygons like being humans. And mean old Bonnie the Zygon doesn't want that. So the Doctor gives them a speech about war and then Bonnie is like, okay, and replaces the Osgood that got shot to death by Missy. What happened to Osgood after this? She's never seen again. All I'm saying is that Sutek would have been rattling those gold chains in fear if they brought out the Osgood box. The Jadoon.
Oh, even are you? That took me 9 weeks.
Why did the Jadoon just shoot this old woman's scarf thing? Oh, I fucking hate knitting. Anyway, the Jadoon are these big rhino men that act as a hireable private army. Want some shape-shifting old woman nabbed? The Jadoon are your go-to. I like how nonchalant they are about the whole thing. Like, they just show up, grab people, scan them with this doohickey, and I speak English now, and then just leaves them be. They don't like it much when you fight back.
Big luck.
And they might have controversial methods, but they get the job done. Sometimes they even do it by themselves. They also get hired by the Division to yoink the Doctor. The Division really loves using marketable villains to yoink the Doctor. The Slovene. The Slovene are so funny to me. Like, everyone goes, oh, fighting aliens. Look at this baby kiddie shit. As they ignore the skinned remains of Tony Blair in the cupboard. Like, I know bodily functions are funny, but including them as the main recurring antagonists in the Sarah Jane adventures was a bold choice for a villainous group that goes around skinning people alive and wearing their corpses. In that show, they show the skinned remains of a human child on screen. This aired on CBBC. Anyway, their plan is to take over the government and start a third world war, so the planet is reduced to rubble and they can sell it for scrap. Sadly, they're weak to vinegar, so they lose. Womp womp. Then they get struck by a missile and... What the hell is that for? Gas mask zombies. This is horrifying! Back in my childhood, I'd only seen a few Doctor Who episodes. I really only went back and binged the whole series around the time Series 10 had finished airing, and this episode was one of the ones I watched when I was a kid. I think I had genuine nightmares about this. It's just, imagine how painful that must be.
Do I need to my story?
Sorry.
Hey, well, living in a Doctor Who world must be so horrible. Got the Germans bombing you, then your son gets a gas mask welded to his face and starts asking about mummies. I'm pretty sure they reference this like 2 other times in the series. And so they should, even as a happy ending for once. Still in the middle of the London Blitz. Always a chance that the second the Doctor left, they all got shelled immediately, but that's just a pessimistic way of thinking.
But you can call me Gus.
Gus is a nefarious computer machine, or potentially someone behind the computer machine, who was really curious about this Pharaoh's curse thing, so decided,
know what? I'm gonna drag a bunch of people onto a train
and set it loose, see what it does, might learn a thing or two. I like the idea that Gus has just been sending the Doctor invitations ever since the end of Series 5. All throughout the hundreds of years he spent on Trenzalore, he was just like,
come to my train. Solve my mystery.
Apparently he was supposed to come back in Series 10 as the thing behind the oxygen suits, but this did not happen, unfortunately. So Gus is probably just chilling out there somewhere, probably putting some other nefarious curse on a vehicle, like a vampire on a double-decker bus. Blon Fel Foch Pesamir Day Slovene. Yeah, I'm just gonna call you Blon.
The government's nuclear advisor
slipped on an icy patch.
He was decapitated.
It was a very icy patch.
So Blon was the only one of the survivors of the... Apparently after this she fled to Wales and ran for mayor. Why? Because of the Wales time rift, duh! She plans to detonate a nuclear bomb here and blow up the planet to power this surfboard thing to go back to her own planet. Why is Blon higher than 90% of the villains in this show? She's really funny. I like Boomtown. It's nice to have a goofy episode where shenanigans happen before all the serious stuff happens, which is something they do again to mixed results. Anyway, the Doctor finds Blonde and she gets the fuck out of there, and then they do a cartoonish gag chase sequence. Take her out to dinner for a bit where she's like, wah, I'm gonna get executed because of my crimes. I like how they try and make her a bit more sympathetic, like how she doesn't immediately kill this journalist because she starts talking about her family. Oh, I have a family. They detonated. The Doctor calls this out, saying, you know, good thing you spared that person's life, but you are still wearing the desecrated corpse of an innocent human being. Then she gets upset and uses the TARDIS to blow up the rift, but then the heart of the TARDIS opens, which turns her into an egg. The silence. I could be really funny and be like, oh, who's this? But I won't, because I'm not that funny, unfortunately. The second you stop looking at one of these things, you forget they even exist. So they apparently have been meddling with human history to enact this convoluted plan to kidnap Amy and Rory's child and use them as a sleeper agent to kill the Doctor. So he never makes it to Trenzalore. Could just ask him to not go there. Good thing the Doctor put subliminal messaging in the broadcast of the moon landing to make people kill the silence on sight. How the hell is your average Joe gonna murder a lightning spewing priest from an alien planet? Also, does that mean there are just silence corpses just littering all of the Earth that no one deals with because they just forget about them immediately? Anyway, the Silents are the main antagonists of the 11th Doctor's era, but they never really are expanded on that much.
By the way, the Silents are part of the church.
They show up fighting alongside the Doctor, though in that one maybe they realized that their plan was fucking stupid.
Yeah, let me just nuke all of existence.
Genuine morons. Cassandra, the nefarious skin carpet.
Bitchy trampoline.
The last pure human in existence about 5 billion years in the future. Looks like something the Q would cook up. After over 500 plastic surgeries, she's just been reduced to a racist brain in a jar. She hijacks a ship that was viewing the Earth when it was about to be consumed by the sun. Again, this is one of the episodes I watched as a young child and it traumatized the hell out of me. What do you mean the Earth was gonna blow up in 5 billion years? That's like basically next Tuesday. Anyway, she tries to kill everyone on board the ship so she could get insurance money or something, but she gets thwarted and then blows up. There was a line of Doctor Who figures you could get, and one of them was just Cassandra's frame. Posable action figure. Anyway, then she somehow survives this, grows a clone, and just hides in a hospital for 5 years before stealing Rose's body, then repeatedly going back and forth between the Doctor and Rose before going into Chip and dying in her past self's arms. Sontarans. These funny little potato men are a staple of the Doctor Who series. The Sontarans are a bunch of warmongering little spuds that usually spend most of their time finding ways of funding their war against the Root-uns. So they start a devious scheme with the Sheldon Cooper boy.
You can't say Atmos system, because it stands for atmospheric emission system. So you're saying atmospheric emission system. Do you see, Mr. Conditional Clause?
Kill yourself. To give everyone on the Earth carbon monoxide poisoning so they can use the planet to make more Sontarans. Even end up infiltrating UNIT. Get it to fucking together. Holy shit. After being blown up, they don't really do much. There's Strax, who, don't get me wrong, funny little guy, but he's not really evil. The next time a Sontaran scheme is featured in an episode is during the Flux, where they infiltrate the Crimean War and ride horses. Then the nefarious Dan Lewis smacks them with a wok, and this guy blows them up, and the Doctor's like, "Don't you think she looks tired?" And then he gets deposed, and the power vacuum causes the Master to become Rasputin, probably, I don't know. Later in the Flux, they kill off all of Hacker T-Dog's brethren, which makes him upset. Then they all die in the Flux. Oh, and they managed to do this with the help of the Grand Serpent, but I don't want to talk about him because we're in the good villain section now. Dalek Emperor. The Doctor was utterly fuming during this episode. Just had to play a bloody game of weakest link with these Playmobil looking things. Especially after thinking he'd finally rid the universe of the Daleks' filth. He finds out that this bellend's been sat here puppet ruling an entire Earth space station for decades, growing even more Daleks out of the blended remains of other humans. However, much like the Dalek from Dalek, these Daleks have gone completely insane because they're part human, which, as a purist species that hate everything that isn't Dalek, they hate themselves. Anyway, they capture Rose and are like, "Hehehe, Doctor, we're gonna kill Rose unless you..." No. Goes over and rescues her and then rallies up a bunch of people to attempt to fight the Daleks. Then this guy never got his cash prize. Then the Doctor makes a massive death wave contraption that'll kill every Dalek left. But alas, one small issue, he'll also kill the entire human race. It's just like what happened during the Time War, except this time he doesn't do it. Good thing that Rose ascended to godhood and turned all the Daleks into dust. The Dalek Emperor goes, "I will not die," and then he dies. Dream Lord. I like how the Dream Lord is just a massive prick to the Doctor for the entire story.
If you had any more tawdry quirks, you could open up a tawdry quirk shop.
He just shows up, starts roasting the Doctor, and is never seen again. Fuck the Valley Yard, that shit's boring. The Dream Lord is what an evil Doctor should be. Just a massive asshole that traps people in horrifying scenarios, whether it's being frozen by a cold sun or attacked by evil pensioners, and making people choose which one's real, because given the nature of this show, both of them could easily be a thing that actually exists in this world. But anyway, when they realize that both of the worlds were dreams, the Dream Lord is revealed to be a manifestation of the Doctor's self-hatred given form by some pollen. Evil old people. Yes, sorry, Dream Lord, but the most menacing thing in this episode had to be the evil old people. I'm sorry, I just find this scene of Rory just smacking one of them with the plank to be really funny. And I thought it'd be even funnier to just put them exactly one space above the Dream Lord, because again, they're the real villains of the story. The Dream Lord is just a negative commentary, kind of like what I'm doing with this video if you think about it. Every time I write a script, I take a hit of psychic pollen. House. Did you know that this guy from the Sarah Jane Adventures was supposed to be the Corsair? So sometime after this episode, he ended up being captured and mutilated by House. House kind of explains why there aren't any other Time Lord stragglers left in the universe. Because he eated them. He's this big alternate universe bubble thing that lures in Time Lords and eats their TARDISes. Then sometimes will use their organs to repair his servants he keeps around because they're kind of entertaining. So after putting the TARDIS's conscious into one of the servants, the Doctor and the TARDIS build a second TARDIS to go after House and boot him out of the physical TARDIS.
What the hell was Sutek doing during this?
Who the fuck's this clown? I'm trying to create old woman. Or was he also just thrown out? The equivalent of telling your dog to get off the sofa and get back in his bed.
Fear me. I've killed hundreds of Time Lords.
Fear me. I've killed all of them.
This line is insane. Rassilon in the Time Lord Council as well, I guess. Having the Time Lords as the main antagonists for the final episode of the first era of the show was an amazing idea. After being built up as this kind, benevolent race for most of the series, that was apparently just something the Doctor gaslit himself into believing to remember them more fondly, because even in the classic series, they were massive pricks. Thanks for sorting this guy out for us, Doctor. Time to remove one of your lives and banish you to Earth. But these Time Lords have been driven to complete insane desperation by their war against the Daleks to do the exact same thing that the Daleks were going to do at the end of the 4th series and erase all of reality so they can ascend beyond it. They do this by implanting a homing beacon into the Master's head when he was a kid, which would backfire immensely on them. I like how up until this point the Doctor has been vehemently against using guns, but when he hears the Time Lords are back, he packs heat immediately, throws himself off a plane and threatens Rassilon at gunpoint. But then he realizes that maybe even when shit gets tough, he doesn't need to blow someone's brains out because he can just shoot this box and send them back into hell. Hang on a minute. This is literally the exact same scene as the Omega one. The Doctor and an enemy Time Lord bring back a founder of their race who's actually evil, who proceeds to stand there for 3 minutes and get defeated by being shot at by a weapon. Not only is Omega a bad villain, he's a bloody plagiarist as well. Rani is not beating the Master but shit allegations, because unlike the Rani who immediately runs away, the Master starts blastering Rassilon with blue beams, trying to save his oldest friend, which then leads into him seeking out that friendship once again when he regenerates into Missy. This scene is like 1 billion times better than the fraudulent copy they tried to pull in the Reality War. After being cast back into Gallifrey, the Doctor saves it from the Time War, and how do they reward him? By trapping him in a dial for billions of years. What a load of knobs. I like how at this point though, Rassilon has just been reduced to a sad old man who gets usurped by the Doctor, just standing there and doing nothing. So he gets booted off the planet and is never seen again. Was Rassilon killed by the Master, or is he just chilling out there somewhere? The Foretold. It's like some kind of mummy on the Orient Express, is what one of its victims says exactly 66 seconds before perishing instantly. The Foretold only appears to the weakest people in the room, drags them to its phase level, and inquires that they return the slab, otherwise they'll get bopped in the head and killed. No matter what, the second that thing shows up, you have 66 seconds before it gets to you. This episode is an interesting look at the Doctor's own devious morals. There's something a bit dubious about using cursed people who are about to suffer an imminent death as a source of information. Then the Doctor identifies that this guy is a soldier, so surrenders, and he stops trying to kill people because he disintegrates. Also, Gus blows up the train. The Toy Maker. This is one of the most fun villains in the show's history. He just shows up putting on a random German accent for no reason other than he thinks it's funny.
Everybody loves the Boris.
Better than what he was saying last time he was on the show. But yeah, remember what I've been banging on about over and over again about a silly concept executed in a way that is genuinely terrifying. This man could just do fucking anything. Literally anything. If he wants you dead, you're just dead. The only reason you are alive is because that is more entertaining to him. Like when he traps the Doctor and Donna in an infinite room because watching them run around like frightened little mice is pretty funny. He does a cheeky laugh every time he's about, which is apparently a thing that all members of the Pantheon do. Except for Sutek, apparently. Why the hell was the Toy Maker scared of Sutek? Sutek's gift of death just turned the death dust into glitter and sparkles. Sutek's gonna get the Toy Maker's gift of balls. Gonna turn that mutt into a balloon animal. Anyway, he uses the giggle to drive everyone on Earth insane and make them think they're right.
I've seen you walk
I've seen you walking. Don't deny it.
Then he fucks with the Doctor even more by taunting him about how all his companions died. I like how none of the 13th Doctor companions are mentioned here because they all made it home safely, except for Dan, who just gets sent to an empty plot where his house used to be and just left to rot. Then he goes back to 2023 and does a little song and dance whilst throwing Kate at a wall and spinning Mel around like a Beyblade. Then he turns these soldier guys into balls and they scream in agony. Are they still like that? Did they change back after he was banished? I like how a few hours ago the Doctor had to listen to an old enemy dance to a pop song, then get shot and killed by a laser, just to listen to an old enemy dance to a pop song, and then get shot and killed by a laser. Sadly, after the funny dance scene, the episode kind of sucks. I'm sorry. He's like, the next Doctor! And then the bi-generation thing happens, which I've already explained why that was dumb. Then they play a game of catch and he misses the ball and gets folded and put in a box. I guess that really did foreshadow the underwhelming ass defeats of the Pantheon gods. Maybe the underwhelming defeats are like the point. Like these powerful ass gods get beaten by their own rules. God of games, beaten by a game. God of music, beaten by music. God of light, beaten by light. God of wishes, beaten by a wish. God of death, dies.
Take it to the deepest vault and bind it in salt.
Is it really a good idea to store this man in the unit vault? Throw that thing into the sun, or give it the Sutex special and slam dunk it on the walls of the time vortex. Like it almost gets repossessed in the next season. Family of blood. Bunch of ungrateful pricks, these ones. Going around trying to yoink the Doctor's regeneration energy because they have the combined lifespan of a ham sandwich. He gave you that chance to piss off, but you didn't. You followed him. Anyway, the family of blood possesses these scarecrows and the bodies of people and demand for the Doctor, who at this point is a bumbling oaf called John Smith. This guy, this one in particular, the brother, is genuinely terrifying. He just looks so devious and cold all the time. What a frightening fellow. Then the Doctor comes back and stops them instantly and gives them the most horrific fates imaginable. All of them are made immortal, like they wanted. Then one of them is chained up and left to rot. Another one gets trapped in a mirror for eternity. Another gets put in a scarecrow and suspended in time forever. And then one is just straight up thrown into a black hole. The Doctor was not having a good day. Mr. Ring-a-Ding. Doctor Who Season 2 confirms April release date as new coming villain. Now this is what I wanted out of the Pantheon of Discord. Just the Doctor straight up fighting a Cuphead boss. Ranking Doctor Who monsters based on how quickly they get past the Cuphead tutorial. So Mr. Ringly Dingley ends up manifesting onto the universe as a cartoon and trapping a theatre of people in film because this dumbass was talking during it. Then the Doctor and Belinda find him.
Why are you blue?
I like how when the Doctor mentions the 15 missing people, he gives a look of like, ah, fuck, he's found me out. He also constantly says, don't make me laugh, because I bet you know what that laugh's gonna be. Anyway, Ringle Dingle reveals his true name to be Lux Imperator, the God of Light.
I am the dazzle at the heart of the Pantheon. I am the glint in the eyes of the mad. I am the last thing you see before you fall into the abyss.
Doctor Who will randomly drop the hardest ass lines and then immediately move on like nothing happened. Then he traps the Doctor and Belinda in a cartoon where they have to be like, oh Belinda, I remember my Time Lords, I'm sad. Then figuratively and literally gives their characters depth. Would have been a good time to allude to that baby Belinda supposedly had, wouldn't it? Almost like it was some kind of last minute rush decision. Then they get sucked out of the screen, and in real life, this scene with the fans is sordid.
I knew this would happen because it was leaked online. Hashtag RIP Doctor Who.
It's kind of funny in retrospect, considering that we don't know when or if the series is actually going to continue. So maybe Lux's threefold deity of malice, mischief, and misery over here were onto something. Anyway, they escape real life. Then he yoinks the light emitters from the Doctor's regeneration VFX and becomes real life Doctor Who graphics in 2014. Then he becomes very large and gets exposed exposed to the light. Much like myself, Mr. Ringading never goes outside. Why? Because he absorbs the light of everything in the universe, which sounds very bad, but instead of making every star go out, he just dissolves into nothing. A beautiful end to a beautiful man. Weeping Angels. The Weeping Angels are probably the only new Doctor Who villain to have a significant impact on culture. When there's an enemy in a game that only moves when you look at it, it's like, yeah, that's a weeping angel, innit? I bet there are many people in the world that have never watched Doctor Who and know what weeping angels are. Just statues that can never move if they're being observed.
And if they get ya, you're going back in time.
They really big up the angels for something that can be invalidated by a rear view mirror. Or can they? Because after the first episode, they keep upping the ante with the angels. Oh yeah, by the way, they could also just kill people and imitate their voices. Oh, and by the way, the image of a weeping angel actually becomes an angel. Like, it's just sounding like a sore loser-ass kid making up rules about why he can't be tagged. Like, apparently this picture is enough to make a weeping angel able to travel through. What is the threshold for what counts as a weeping angel image? But yeah, the angels are icons of horror now thanks to this show. So putting them any lower than this seems like a disservice. Sutek. Alright, you're gonna have to hear me out on this one. Sutek the Destroyer is a laughably horrendous villain, but his motivations and presence are so baffling and batshit insane that it wraps around on itself like 10 times, and this is the funniest villain in the history of the show. Just thinking about what goes down in Empire of Death for more than 10 seconds makes me laugh.
I was named after a road.
So Sutek was a classic villain from 50 years ago. During this episode, he was some Osiran man in a funny hat that sits on a chair and plans to kill all life in the universe, which is the reason why he's imprisoned in this pyramid of Mars. During this episode, the Doctor defeats him by hijacking his time tunnel thing. The scene of him just screaming, "No, release me," whilst the PNG of him shrinks is already shaping him out to be a really funny villain. So apparently after having the transform tool used on him in Photoshop, he clung on to the Doctor's TARDIS, turned invisible, and throughout every single episode since Pyramids of Mars in 1975, Sutek has been sat on the TARDIS sporting effigies of this random woman every time the Doctor lands to use as a sleeper agent. So every time the TARDIS has been blown up, shot at, shrunk, ripped out of its console, and died, Sutek has just been there chilling, which recontextualizes a lot of episodes in a funny way.
He has one constant companion.
Who's that?
Death.
How long have you been travelling alone?
Perhaps I never have.
Just think of all the scenarios the Doctor and the TARDIS has been in that Sutek has now retroactively inserted himself into. So after thousands of years of riding around on the TARDIS, Sutek chooses to manifest himself now because Ruby's mother was so much of an engaging mystery that he was so interested in for some reason that he thought, "Oh my fucking god, I'm in trouble. Quick, go my Susans, spread my dust." And then he has his Harbinger infiltrate unit just to big him up as the leader of the Pantheon.
The god of death. I am the night.
He is the mad god! The Titan!
How and when did he do this? Like, did he hop off the TARDIS at some point and sign up to be a member of the Pantheon, worked his way up to the top, and then jumped back on? I really want to see an episode where the Pantheon are all interacting. They're said to be a big group, but literally none of them ever interact at all. Anyway, he manifests himself, and Morris is like, well, that just happened. As he stares face to face with the embodiment of death and entropy itself, and then all of UNIT begins unloading the entire United States ammunition reserves into him.
All the bullets turn to dust.
Oh, one day.
Poor Kate just can't get a win. Then he turns them all and everyone else into dust. But because he's that interested in who Ruby's mother is, he keeps the Doctor, Ruby, and Mel alive so they could go figure it out for him. Then they just start watching Pyramids of Mars on an iPad. What?
Yes, Doctor. It's me, Sutek, from Doctor Who's Season 13 Serial Free, available to watch as well as the rest of Classic Who on the BBC iPlayer.
And then the Doctor asks why he isn't dead yet, and Sutek is like, well... Then they run into this random-ass nostalgia bait TARDIS that manifests itself into existence because of memories. Or whatever, I don't care. And then they skedaddle.
Yeah, I never understood what was all that Egyptian stuff.
Cultural appropriation.
What the fuck do you mean cultural appropriation? I get the joke, but like in universe, Sutek's race is eons older than the ancient Egyptians. Are you saying that the Egyptians culturally appropriated Sutek? Then the Doctor steals this dying woman's spoon, then goes to 2040 to find out who Ruby's mother is. Then Sutek's just like, right, bring him here, and then he teleports them directly to him somehow, and the Doctor's like,
no, Sutek, you can't kill all life. Quiet, you troublesome Time Lord. Face my green effect.
And then Ruby slowly walks up to him to give him the name of her mother. I still don't understand why he cares so much. Why is he portrayed as this delusional, paranoid crack addict?
Show me the fence. Show me, child. Bring the fence to me.
To be fair, he has basically binged all of Doctor Who non-stop for thousands of years. Dopamine receptors have probably turned to dust. Gone from Sutek to Tic-Tac.
Instead, I found a goon cave. I griddied on your Ohio machine, and for so many years I aura-farmed. I have mewed with you for all this time, edging the guyat of your ship, mogging into eternity, and look-smaxing into my true Sigma-hood. Now I know every fathom of the text of your time machine, and I can ratio it to my will.
I don't know why I felt the need to make that, but I did, and I have to live with that now. Anyway, Ruby strolls up to Sutek, drops the iPad in front of him, and as he's utterly baffled by this, that he just fucking stands there as she ties a leash onto him, whilst the Doctor blows a random-ass whistle that comes out of nowhere that activates the TARDIS's iconic giant fuck-off laser that propels it away from Sutek, which kills Harriet, runs over Mel and Susan, and then he just sits there pathetically struggling to get the rope off his collar and gets dragged on the end of the TARDIS, flung around like a ragdoll in the time vortex. Is it really bad that the instant this scene started playing, the only thing I could think about was a bit in Family Guy?
I know, it's a tie-in rope.
This is worse than the time I brought death to death.
Nobody has to get hurt, Brian. Only one person has to get hurt, Brian.
Then they fling him around some more and he scrapes across the time vortex, which somehow just brings everyone back to life as this beautiful rendition of Never Tell Me the Rules plays. And it cuts from the characters just longingly staring into the sunset to Sutek being spun around like a hamster in a washing machine. Then the Doctor starts going, "Oh, Ruby, I've got to kill death itself. I'm so sad. I'm such a monster for having to kill this objectively evil, eldritch, demonic dog creature with no redeeming qualities at all that has just mass omnicided all of existence." I bet the real reason he was upset is because Sutek's been sat on the TARDIS for thousands of years and he still hasn't paid any rent. Doctor, I would not be standing directly over the rope. If Sutek just yoinks that rope up a bit, then, well, maybe that's the reason why he's sterile. Then the Doctor shuts the door as Sutek is desperately trying to slowly climb his way up. Realistically, this scene probably should have went like but I guess he has been sat on a box doing fuck all for thousands of years. Probably is lacking in upper body strength. Instead of summoning Susans, should have been summoning a healthy exercise routine, although at any time he could have used the evil green powers to paralyze the Doctor and Ruby at any point that he literally used seconds before this scene. But I guess he was just that flabbergasted by Ruby throwing a perfectly good iPad on the floor. What will viewers watch BBC iPlayer on now? Does Sutek have a British TV license? Then Sutek floats off into the time vortex with a sad expression on his face as he slowly drifts into the loving embrace of the time vortex and violently burns in agony. I like how the entire crux of this part of the story relies on Sutek wearing a BDSM collar. This isn't even the stupidest thing about this episode. Yeah, remember Ruby's mum? The mysterious cloaked entity that manifested snow out of nothing whenever she was mentioned? That drove a god insane? Yeah, just a normal ass woman. Bet you feel real stupid now, don't you, you dopey mutt? Turns out she was just ominously pointing because she was naming Ruby after a road? What? Alright, okay. Ruby was supposed to be the wish baby, right? Like, come on. It makes so much sense. Anyway, Sutek, despite being just laughably stupid as a villain, over the past year I have grown an ironic love for this foul hound. Got a Sutek mug and a Sutek coaster.
I bring Sutek's gift of milk to all human life.
And the reality war has made me appreciate Sutek even more, because he could have ended up like Fraud Mega with 3 minutes of screen time and no funny motivation. But unironically, Sutek in the last few minutes of Legend of Ruby Sunday and the first few minutes of Empire of Death is genuinely amazing. Just the spectacle of this eldritch horror being built up as something that even gods fear, then in a single sequence decimating the entire population of the Earth. And his voice?
But I will find them. Out there, in the hollows of this desolate universe, they are hiding somewhere, lost in the wind and the wilds.
They brought back the guy who played the original Sutek, and his voice is now just so cold and menacing. It genuinely does feel like Sutek's been waiting there for thousands of years and is now just a bitter old man. The not things. I love the not things. Wild Blue Yonder was the best of the anniversary specials, and I will not be convinced otherwise. The scene where they're first introduced scared the hell out of me. You see Donna and the Doctor yapping with each other before you realise, hang on a minute, why they're in multiple places at once? Then revealing to be these skinwalkers from outside the universe that have a limited understanding on existing, so warp and contort their bodies in horrifying and comical ways.
Why does he travel with someone as stupid as you?
I like how the Doctor shows more emotion about the ramifications of the flux here than in any of that series. Then Donna melts into a puddle. And then at the end, when the Doctor picks the wrong Donna, and Donna has to watch as the ship slowly explodes and gets rescued at the last second. The Beast. The Beast is literally the devil. The Doctor fights the devil itself and wins. The devil who has been chained up and locked orbiting around a black hole. This probably scared the shit out of kids. I like this scene with Rose and the Ood.
Do you actually get paid though? Do they give you money?
The beast and his armies shall rise from the pit to make war against God.
By the way, the Ood aren't on this list because they are not monsters or villains. They are victims. In this episode, they get possessed by Satan after slaving away on a desolate base on a planet surrounded by a black hole and then launched into it.
And chained me in the pit for all eternity.
When was this?
Before time.
Before time had a name.
The Doctor falls into the Satan pit and then he smacks some pots which makes the beast plummet in, but the beast has separated its mind from its body long ago, allowing it to attempt to escape into the universe, which was thwarted as this poor possessed guy was shot out the windshield, killed and presumably sucked into a black hole. But yeah, the episode where the Doctor fights Satan is unsurprisingly really cool, and I like how they explain that the concept of the devil was imprinted within various civilizations by this big red bloke.
Which devil are you?
All of them.
Frightening stuff. Vashda Nevada. Doctor Who really has a knack for making invisible monsters that just fucking kill you. What's that? Got more than 2 shadows?
dead.
I find it funny when they just demolish a chicken leg. I like how eventually they just start puppeting the corpses of the crew members. So you have this visual of a darkened skeletal shadow just chasing you about, muttering their last words on repeat forever. Again, the Doctor is saved by his street credit after the Vashta Narada do a quick Google search of the Doctor's name.
Oh, hang on, guys. This bloke's killed the devil. Maybe we should just leave this one alone.
Also, they just said that the Vashta Narada are on Earth. Wouldn't be an episode of Doctor Who without traumatizing thousands of kids.
Guess who was one of those kids?
I like how most of the episodes I watched as a child were the ones that were scary as shit. The Midnight Entity. I like how in making an episode specifically designed to save budget, they come up with one of the most horrifying creatures ever. An invisible entity that can run really fast, starts forcing whatever it possessed to start mimicking whoever's talking, and then gradually start catching up with them until it's speaking before you somehow, stealing your words as you too lie limp on the ground, unable to do anything as the panicked fools around you think it's got you, throwing you out into the deadly void beyond. This is the one episode where the Doctor's yapping ends up being his own downfall, as he's being a bit too much of a smartass. The creature then gaslights the crew members into thinking that the Doctor is possessed by it, so they throw him out. Luckily, the goat, the stewardess, clocks onto this and drags that fucking thing to hell with her. So yeah, pretty good episode, right? Hang on a second. What's this about a well? What do you mean this planet used to be made out of diamonds hundreds of thousands of years ago? That's odd. What was the name of this planet again?
It was called Midnight.
Oh dear.
Now at first, being the miserable grump I am, I thought, oh, they're gonna ruin the Midnight Entity. But no, this episode just makes it more mysterious. It's completely changed how it operates. Instead of mimicking people, it hides behind them. Anyone who goes behind the infected person just screams in utter agony, probably because the last thing they see is the true form of this horrible creature, and then get thrown 10 feet in the air and dies. Then everything just goes to shit as the infected person starts looking around as the creature starts throwing everyone around. It never had any rules or anything. This thing's just bored. It'll operate however the hell it wants that day. Look, I know, haha, 15 Doctor, cry too much, but this time it's warranted. The thing mumbles the Doctor's true name at him, which it would know as it's been in its head before. This is the same guy from hundreds of thousands of years ago, and it remembers him. I'd be a bit upset too. And at the end it wins. You can see there's one more person displayed on this lift thing. It's bloody escaped. Yeah, I don't know, Ronnie. I think you should just get the fuck out of here. In this episode, you can kind of see it, and it just looks like a placeholder. Like, I don't think it really has a form. They just wanted it to look like something was briefly there. It can probably be whatever the hell it wants. And whatever it is, it's out there now. Dave Ross. Speaking of scary Doctor Who episodes, The Stolen Earth was actually one of the first Doctor Who episodes I ever saw. I remember being a little kid daintily running down the stairs looking at the TV, watch David Tennant get fucking shot by a Dalek, and then running up the stairs out of fear. This is my earliest memory of Doctor Who. So Davy Wavy is the creator of the Daleks. This 300-year-old raisin man wheeling about on a dodgem created the most brutal and feared race of creatures in the universe. Why? To win the war, silly. Davros is not a Dalek. He is in fact a Khalid, which are what the Daleks used to be before this Dunderhead mutated them into that. Fast forward to the Time War, and this moron barely lasts a year before getting swallowed by something called the Nightmare Child. Luckily for David here, he gets saved at the last second by the goat Dalek Khan, who went completely insane and half blew up trying to break back into the Time War. Then Davros has an ingenious idea: make more bloody Daleks. But this time, instead of bothering with boring shit like war and existence, he decides to make a bomb that destroys reality so the Daleks can finally be the only thing in existence, fulfilling their one true goal. However, a David Tennant-shaped object gets in the way. I like how Davros is like,
"Oh, Doctor, it's been so long. I remember my genesis of the Daleks." "Yeah, don't really care. Shut the fuck up."
I like how he's basically just the equivalent of the weird uncle that no one likes to the Daleks. Like, they'll keep him around because he's family, but he gets a bit politically charged on Thanksgiving, so they just lock him in the basement.
Leave her alone. She is mine, to do as I please.
What the hell did Davros mean by this? Don't know why the Daleks let him have a control panel that just kills literally all of them. Like, what? I like how the Doctor tries to save him, but like, can you imagine how awkward that final scene where they're all piloting the Earth back would be if Davros was just sat there miserable in the corner?
Off you go, Clom.
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 Clom. Yes, and I'll return there victorious.
Anyway, like 5 seasons later, it's revealed that the Doctor saved Davros at a young age, which makes Davros send Commander Blunk over here to go and yoink him so he could have a nice little chat over a cup of tea, whilst Davros dies of old age. Which is actually nice seeing two bitter enemies find some common ground and enjoy a little chuckle together. But then, oh no, Clara! You bloody killed Clara, you wretched old man! Give me a chair! And then he intimidates the Daleks for a bit before going back to Davros' chamber where he's like, Doctor, I'm going to die! Oh, I'm fucking dying! Don't worry, Davros. I'll just give you some regeneration. Doctor, you fool. All of that character development was a devious ruse to give the Daleks regeneration. Oh, Davros, you daft twat. I was bluffing as well. I hope you trip on a brick. And then he leaves as the sewer Daleks drown him in slop. Then Missy pokes him in the eye. Also, apparently from now on, they're not going to have Davros in his chair because it's offensive. Or something. Really? How could you say people might be offended by this that include an irredeemable psychopathic maniac of a villain who's a survivor of a genocide in the same era? This show is so fucking dumb! Cybermen. The Cybermen, when done right, can genuinely be one of the scariest boogeymen this show has to offer. Being humans that have forgotten their own humanity to become mindless machines that cannot show emotion and just shuffle around going, delete, delete. Sadly, a lot of Cyberman episodes are just kind of not good. It's better when they lean into the horror of what it's like to be a Cyberman and not just,
hello, I am the robot human and I will delete you like a computer robot. You delete the file. You are the file recycling bin. Empty recycle bin.
At some point someone just decided, you know what this Cyberman story needs? The Master. Genuinely. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Cyberman-centered stories have them play second fiddle to the bloody Master in a row. Even in their second story in the modern series, they get overshadowed by the Daleks.
Daleks have no concept of elegance. This is obvious.
Then they just get utterly clowned on by 4 Daleks, which, whilst it's really effective at building up the Daleks to be this unstoppable threat, it does make the Cybermen look like a bunch of phonies. But anyway, after being created by John Lumick, they stuck around for a while after that episode, managing to breach into our reality as these ghost-like apparitions. Of course, this is caused by the negligence of those bloody Torchwood morons. Told you them things were wrong-uns. And they all get sucked into the gap between universes, and Rose gets trapped in a parallel universe. Then some of them survived into London. Cyber converted that dog from the magic roundabout, and then make a giant robot that steps on people just to get shoved in the time vortex.
Happens to the best of us.
Then they're part of the Council of Dumb Stupid Idiots. Then Rory detonates an entire fleet of them because he misses his wife. Then they attempt to cyber-convert James Corden, and I like how the resolution of the Craig episodes always end up being that whatever alien is present just rejects him and leaves or dies. And Nightmare in Silver happens, and then Missy shows up and converts every single dead human into a Cyberman. What the fuck? This episode is grim, by the way.
Don't cremate me. Don't cremate me.
Yeah, they just reveal that dead people could still feel pain. Anyway, funny Cybermen show up and they go, delete, delete. Turns out the Master wants the Doctor to have them as an army so he could go around solving every problem in the universe a lot easier. But Daddy Pink fires himself into the sky to stop the Master from converting everyone else alive into a Cyberman. Basically, every single character that has died up to this point has canonically become a Cyberman. Rancid. Then World Enough and Time happens, and what the fuck, they made them even more terrifying. These freakish proto-Cybermen all bandaged up like a miserable mummy, constantly crying out in pain. Also, the companion gets shot in the chest and converted into one of the first true Cybermen. Most brutal companion death in the series. Anyway, after shooting the Doctor and getting detonated, the next time they are seen is in the haunting of Villa Dilla Dula Dalla, where Eshed does his thing. But I've already spoken about him. Also, it was sad when Handels died. He stayed with the Doctor for 400 years, as longer than every other companion. Except one. The Master.
What if the Doctor was evil?
That's basically the Master in a nutshell. The Doctor's old friend / lover who keeps harassing him in an attempt to get his attention. He was very prominent in the classic series, would always just show up and get up to some shenanigans. At one point even running out of regenerations and becoming really crusty. Then he went around possessing people for a bit.
Then the Daleks fucking kill him, and he becomes a snake? What?
Then during the Time War, the Time Lords were like, alright you, we're losing the war. Kill some Daleks for us, and we'll give you some more regenerations. Then he fails miserably and runs off to the end of the universe, hiding as a human for 70 odd years before clawing his way out of a pocket watch. And this is when we get to the Master of the modern series. So the Master immediately gets shot, regenerates, hears the Doctor, tells him to piss off, and then casually usurps the British government. I love how that's the first thing he does. Then he kidnaps Martha's family, blows up her house, and makes her and the Doctor and Jack the enemies of the state. I like how he went from cosplaying as a Catboy to intense political corruption, average member of the House of Parliament.
Excuse me, Prime Minister, do you mind my asking, what is that?
It's a gas mask.
Yes, but, why are you wearing it?
Because of the gas.
What gas?
This gas.
Not only that, but he turns the humans he helped when he was a kind old man into spheres and kills 1/10 of the population. Then the Master hits the Doctor with the pensioner beam, turning him into a decrepit old man and put him in a dog kennel. After Martha travels the world and the Master turns the Doctor into this little goblin thing, who the fuck invited 3D Squelton? Everyone on Earth thinks about the Doctor at the same time, turning him into this levitating blue Jesus man, and then the Master just cowers in fear in the corner. What is happening? Then the Doctor is like, I forgive you. And then the Master gets shot by his wife.
No.
And then he dies. Once again, the Doctor is season 3, episode 13, The Last of the Time Lords. And then a mysterious woman picks up this ring thing and resurrects the Master from death, who ends up as this evil skeleton thing. Why is he like this? What is it with Time Lords coming back as skeletons? After demolishing an entire Turkey, he gets forced to make this immortality gate thing by this doddering oath. No, the evil space alien isn't going to help you. Then the Master jumps into the gate and, what the fuck, is that Obama? Turns everyone into him. Everyone on Earth becomes the Master. Everyone. Whilst I could ponder the implications of this, I'd rather not even acknowledge that, but the Time Lords take advantage of this by implanting a signal in his head at a young age, which gets amplified by the billions of Masters, which lets them bring Gallifrey to Earth. Rassilon calls the Master diseased, and then doesn't let him join his funny plan to transcend all creation. Then the Master threatens to jump him with his billions of clones, but then Rassilon just undoes it, and as the Doctor closes the portal to bring back the Time Lords, the Master fires lightning at Rassilon, which drags them both back into the Time War. Luckily for the Master, Gallifrey gets saved by 13 separate Doctors, and then Rassilon tells him to fuck off, and he ends up on a Mondasian colony ship.
But that's a story for like a couple of minutes from now.
The Master, now a woman who goes by the name Missy, just decides, I'm a wee bit bored, I'm gonna make the humans an afterlife. Might entertain me for an afternoon. Why is she doing this? Because she wants to turn dead people into a Cybermen army to give the Doctor as a peace offering. However, the Doctor obviously refuses, and then she gets shot and dies. Luckily, she lived. Also, apparently at some point she ran over Danny Pink because she wanted the Doctor to visit her little death industry thing. Missy is such a funny character. If I was ranking each incarnation of the Master separately, then Missy would be at the top of this entire list. No contest. The other two drag her down a bit. This one's a bit too goofy. And this one is associated with some of the most baffling creative decisions in the show's history. And then the older man Master has like 5 minutes of screen time. Still more than Omega. Anyway, then the Doctor has a midlife crisis, which upsets Missy so much that she fucks around with Unit for a bit before being dragged by the Doctor and Clara to Skaro, where she pisses off a group of Daleks for a bit. Then she gets shot and dies. Luckily, she lives. Then she pushes Clara off a cliff, straps her in a Dalek, waltzes on back into Davros's house, pokes him in the eye, attempts to gaslight the Doctor into shooting Clara, and then she leaves. In between series 9 and 10, and uh-oh, Missy has been captured and is about to be executed for her nefarious crimes. But the Doctor hijacks the execution and instead puts her in timeout for 70 years in Bristol. Just let him kill her, Doc. I like how the Doctor essentially just puts the Master into rehab. Then the Doctor puts her to work servicing the TARDIS. So after the one good scene in The Eaters of Life where the Master feels the slightest hint of remorse for the first time in millennia, and the Doctor conducts a little trial where he makes her do what he does for a bit. This goes not the best. Like, really not the best at all. This was probably the worst place that the TARDIS could have taken them. I bet it did this on purpose. Master taking away all the Doctor's attention. Jealous little brick. So after tying up the Doctor with her old self, Missy then starts to flip-flop on whether she wants to take a hit of the old violent, murderous tendencies or stand with her busy mate. And then they're like, fuck this nonsense, I'm out of here. Which upsets the Doctor as he tells them that he doesn't do this for any self-serving reason, but just because he can. It's just a nice thing to do.
This is the face that didn't listen to a word you just said.
Which seems to resonate with Missy a bit as she...
You're gonna kill yourself!
Which results in him turning around and blasting her in the spine, disabling her ability to regenerate as she dies standing with her best friend without him even knowing she did that.
This episode is really good.
This portrayal of the Master just being tired of all the attention-grabbing charades and just wanting to make amends, but getting roped back in like a drug addict when they see their older self is brilliant. Luckily, she lived.
How was your house out there?
But then, for some reason, they just never acknowledged this again, like ever. Apparently, the Master got bored one day and got so upset at the Timeless Child retcon that he blew up Gallifrey again, off screen. An 8-year-long story arc just ruined for no reason. Not even a mention of Missy at all. In fact, it's so bad that people are unsure whether this Master even comes after Missy or before. So the Master starts fucking around with British tech companies and glowing people. Then it is revealed that the Master has become an SS officer. Okay. So the Doctor then rats him out to them as a traitor, where it is also revealed that because the Master is not
exactly
the
the
Aryan archetype, he's been using a perception filter to appear white. The Doctor then disables it and goes,
Facial perception filter. Very easy to jam. Now they'll see the real you.
That was really bad.
You've gone too far this time, Master.
Why did they put this in the episode? Genuinely, why would they do that? He then shows up again, having lived through half the 20th century, gets dragged into a carpet, and then shows up again at the end of the series where, oh boy, who's up for a 40-minute long yap fest about the Timeless Child? Boy, it sure would be interesting if there were any Time Lords left that the Doctor could have a conflict with about this new information. Oh right, they did have that, and she just... After this, he isn't seen again until Power of the Doctor. Don't know what he was doing during the Flux. Oh wait, he was just Rasputin. Alright then. He then has genuinely the most stupidest, idiotic plan I've ever seen anyone on this show do. Not even the Rani's baby-powered Omega Grabber holds a candle to the Master's plan in Power of the Doctor. So he builds a giant fucking Death Star laser using the power of this glowing orb thing. Then he hires the Daleks to go grab his busy mate, trap her in this box, then use this Death Star thing to power a machine that forces the Doctor to regenerate into him. Also, he can ruin the Doctor's reputation by going around and causing minor mischief. You look the exact same and act the exact same as what you did before this process, and the only visible difference is him dressing up in the Doctor's clothes. Why the fuck didn't you just do that then? Just put on some fruity attire, make your TARDIS blue, and go around going, I'm the Doctor. Anyway, after he domes the Doctor with a big laser, the Master gambles his life away with the Toymaker and gets turned into a tooth then gets grabbed by a mysterious woman and hasn't been seen to this day. Whilst the show ending would be really upsetting, it would be really funny if the Master's ultimate fate was just being a tooth. The Daleks. Of course the Daleks are gonna be up this high. They're the Daleks, the single biggest cultural icon this show has ever produced. Everyone knows what a Dalek is. Did you know that the farmer from Shaun the Sheep has faced more Daleks than the 15th Doctor? Anyway, so the Daleks are heavily mutated humanoid creatures that got shoved in a tank and bred to kill everything they don't like on sight. People saying, "Oh, Doctor Who's got all political and white." When, what do you think these racial purist mass murdering things are based on? There are so many Dalek stories that I've already covered in great detail on this list, so I'll make this segment brief. But every time these guys show up, they make a massive deal out of it. I like how the Doctor gets progressively more and more annoyed at the Daleks when they keep showing up after he's supposed to have detonated a lot of them. Sorry, Doc, but they're too marketable to die. They did start to overuse them slightly in the later years, like they just show up again and it just be, "Oh, there's a Daleks again." But I'd rather see my funny pepper pots a lot than not see a single shaker of salt in the entire kitchen, because these chips are unseasoned. Also, their voices and just the way they speak is really charming.
Daleks do not understand the concept of cranking 90s.
Look, they're iconic for a reason. Just a brilliant nemesis for the Doctor to have. The complete antithesis of what he stands for. Like, the Master's just a silly guy that does it for a laugh. These things do it because they want everything dead, for no reason other than they think they're better than you. The Cult of Skaro. Speaking of Daleks, the Cult of Skaro is probably the most intimidating group of Daleks ever. Got their own names and devious schemes, and having Daleks that are designed to come up with the most batshit insane war strategies just further emphasizes how devastating the Time War was. People complain that they show the Time War as this generic alien attack thing where UFOs are firing lasers, but this is the end of the war. All of their weapons have been exhausted at this point. It's like the equivalent of humanity nuking itself back to the Stone Age and fighting each other with sticks and a big rock. So the Cult of Skaro includes 4 Daleks: Dalek Jast, Dalek They, Dalek Khan, and Dalek Sex. Seeing that the Time War was basically just unwinnable, they yoinked the Time Lord prison container thing with a load of Daleks in it, hid in an orb, and just left. Can't lose if you don't play. Anyway, just the 4 of them managed to destroy an entire army of Cybermen with no effort.
You would destroy the Cybermen with 4 Daleks. We would destroy the Cybermen with 1 Dalek.
Then they drag this prison holding 1,000,000 Daleks with them, and it opens above the skies where the Earth is just swarmed with them. But luckily the Doctor sucks a lot of them back into the void, which causes the cult to just skedaddle away to New York, where they really show off their strange schemes by realizing, hang on a minute, them human things, like, that's quite a while. Maybe we should take some of that for ourselves.
A human Dalek.
However, because the Daleks are stuck in their bigoted ways, they're like, wait a minute, I hate humans. And then when Sek turns into one, they just drag him around in chains and kill him. The human Dalek hybrids rebel against them and kill They and Jast. And then Khan's like, ah shit, all my mates are dead. Let me just remove the evidence and get out of here. This is the closest the Daleks have ever come to complete extinction. Then Khan plunges himself into the Time War, rescues Davros, and the two plot to bring back the Daleks once again, which completely drives Khan insane, and he realizes, damn, the Daleks kinda suck. I don't think I want to do this anymore. So begins secretly conspiring against them. Oh, Davros, I can see into the future. You need to bring the Doctor right here. Like, right here, it is essential.
Then he dies!
So what is the best villain in the series? The most enjoyable, menacing character to grace our screens? Dan Lewis, the Dalek from Dalek. Yeah, this is just another Dalek, but that's the thing. This is one Dalek. And when the Doctor sees this fuck-ass pepper pot in this room, he just goes absolutely ballistic. Starts torturing and threatening the thing, which tells classic Who viewers that something has happened to this Doctor. He was never this violent with the Daleks in the old series, most of the time. And you viewers may even garner a bit of sympathy for the creature, because out of context, this is just the Doctor torturing a prisoner for no reason. Then it gets loose, and its true colours start to be revealed as just one Dalek. A single Dalek manages to absolutely clown on everyone in this basement, just dozens dead in seconds. This is such a cool way to reintroduce the Daleks to the series. In one episode, their representation has gone from funny bull-coloured bins that can't go upstairs to a cold-blooded, unstoppable killing machine that just goes around slaughtering everything without a second thought, that can also go upstairs. So the Doctor just fucking tells the Dalek to straight up kill itself, which, whilst being really funny out of context, just shows how much the Time War has affected him. Gone from a kind man who goes around helping out the less fortunate to an average 13-year-old in a COD lobby. The only reason why it is stopped is because when Rose unwittingly freed it, it gained a bit of humanity by accident, which gives it the slightest bit of a conscience. So it doesn't kill Rose, doesn't even kill Statty Wetty. It's now just a sad, confused creature whose new purpose is just to see the sun for one more time, until the Doctor comes out with a giant fuck-off gun. And the Dalek takes the words of the Doctor to heart and kills itself, because even the slightest impurity caused by having human DNA is too much for the Dalek to handle, showing that genetic purity is a nonsensical fallacy, and anyone that thinks it's a viable idea should rid the universe of their filth. For single-handedly restoring the Dalek's reputation, being a genuine threat, the Metaltron gets the title as the best villain in the modern series. I do not have any qualms with this character. So that was a very, very, very long video about every monster and villain in the history of the new show. And don't take this video that seriously, it's just a bit of fun. I'm sorry if your favourite villain got outranked by the Absorbaloff. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official
The Purple Zombie
YouTube channel.